And we're rolling.
We're rolling.
What's good, homie?
Fucking chilling, man.
Fucking Jason Fechner, man. It's good to see you, dude.
Yes, sir. Good to see you too, man. Thanks for bringing me through. It was a dope little sesh a second ago, too.
Dude, that was stellar.
Yes, sir.
For those who weren't here, we just got some skateboarding done in the warehouse a little bit.
Enough to sweat.
Dude, it is sweaty in there.
Sweaty as fuck.
Super, super sweaty. Like, I have a cooler going and a fan, but it doesn't circulate that well.
Stepping outside was the key, dude.
Stepping outside
Yes,
absolutely is the key. Yeah, dude, so, like, I know we've already been talking for a little bit, and that's why I kind of wanted to hurry up and get in here before we talked away too much, and I'm like, shit, I wish we would have got some of that in the podcast.
Oh, it's all good. I can repeat some, too.
And, yeah, dude, yeah, you're one of the first people I had on my list. Like, I wrote a list on my phone, like, just the notepad. I'm gonna turn the volume down on this thing, that way it doesn't go off on a... But, seriously, though, I think I just wanted to show you that real quick. Yeah, dude, you're literally the first name that I thought of.
Oh, dope.
And I surprisingly, I was like, who the hell would I even interview, you know?
Yeah.
But I started thinking about it, and I'm like, dude, I actually know a lot of interesting people, surprisingly, you know, so...
Oh, yeah, dude. It's
yeah,
an honor.
man. So, like, what's been good lately, dude? What are you up to lately?
All kinds of shit. I just got my second book published. So I had this one book as a field guide for the trees, is a self-identification field guide for the trees of Young Park in Las Cruces. And then they had this grant where they had to have 3 different sites. So there was one in Las Cruces, one in Hobbs at New Mexico Junior College, and then one in Santa Fe at St. John's Liberal Arts College. And I thought the Hobbs one was going to come out first because in succession I did the Young Park, or the Las Cruces, and then Hobbs, and then Santa Fe. But I guess the money that they had for printing was about to run out or something like that. So they prioritized the Santa Fe one first, and then I got an email the other day, and it was like, dude, your shit's online. Your shit's published. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. So the first one, they had they made like a little booklet, because the idea was to like make this map and then have the like install signs, that showed like what tree was what or whatever, and then you just follow this map and it's all numbered, and then you just go to the specific number where you're at and then find the fucking tree or whatever, and then there's all these descriptive factors and shit that you would look at to try to like basically teach yourself how to identify this fucking tree.
So you're a plant scientist, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, I am. I have my degree. I just got my master's degree in May in plant and environmental science, and then I have my bachelor's in horticulture, and then I got my associates on the Hill for general science. So I started off here, and then full fucking circle, dude, because I teach here now, you know what I mean?
Shit, yeah.
And I teach a plant science class, and, like, it's interesting because I, like, more or less created my own job, because I fucking emailed the campus, whoever was in charge, and I was just all like, bro, Las Cruces, like, main campus in Las Cruces or NMSU is a big, like, agricultural school, but over here there's no opportunity to really learn about plants or anything. There's no horticulture classes, I was like, I want to be the first guy to introduce that shit.
In Alamogordo.
Yeah, and I emailed them, and I told them that, and they were like, all right, cool, good idea.
How fucking cool is that? Well, dude, congratulations on some of that stuff. So, on all of that stuff, I mean, you've come a long way. I mean, we can go back into some memories and stuff, too, but before I lose track, like, this book that you just got published, like, what is the book about? Like, it's not like a novel or something, right? It's like
it's a field guide.
Field guide
for just plant identification. So it's the same thing like I did in the Young Park in Las Cruces, where it was the the self-guided field guide where it has like the descriptive factors of the plants or whatever, and then a map to go along with it. So you should be able to find these books wherever they have them, like the parks department or whatever for that particular place. And then you just go around and you walk around and you just try to identify the shit. You know what I mean? Basically.
Yeah, it's cool to like know like the local foliage and what it does, or if it has any like medicinal properties, or if it's poisonous, or if you can eat it, or all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, especially if it's poisonous, because people like shoving shit in their mouths that they probably shouldn't a lot of the time.
I always wonder that, like with the mushrooms and stuff, like how. So everyone, like, at some point, someone had to discover, like, oh, you don't eat those motherfuckers. Like,
well, see, you know,
those ones you can eat, these ones you don't. Like, somebody had to be the one to, like, find out, you know?
What they used to do was they would have medicine women, and what these medicine women would do is they would go and they would take just little tiny pieces of whatever fucking plant that they were messing with, and they would consume them, they would eat them, and then they'd wait. And then if they didn't have any ill side effects, and they would just eat more. Kind of like if you go to like a medical cannabis dispensary or some shit, and you get like an edible, and they're like, this 200 grams of THC, don't shove the whole fucking thing in your mouth. You know what I mean? Just eat a little bit of it, and then if you don't, and then wait like 90 minutes, and then if you're not like tripping balls, then you could eat more. It's kind of the same thing that's originally how people discovered like the medicinal components of these plants and what's edible and what's fucking not edible and all this shit, like.
Yeah.
So
you can always do more, but you can't undo what you just did.
Yeah.
Like you can't take it back out. You know?
So if I'm ever out like hiking or some shit and I see a plant and I'm pretty sure I know what that is. I'm pretty sure it's edible. But if I'm not 100% sure, I'll take a little bit and then I'll just wait. And then if it doesn't, if I don't die, then I'll just fucking eat more if it's decent. You know what I mean?
Right. So you've literally tested like a lot of this like by trial.
Oh yeah,
personally.
And it's cool because there's a lot of edible shit out there that like people. There's like wild strawberries that grow up in the Cloudcroft Mountains. You know what I mean? There's like wild onions and shit like that grow up there, and I don't know. There's so much shit when it comes to plants. That's why it's such an interesting field to go into, and a lot of people are starting to get into it because cannabis is becoming rec. People are allowed to grow now and shit like that. So
microdosing. Yeah. Psilocybin or whatever.
Yeah.
Psilocybin.
And people get like an interest in that shit because of that. And then especially COVID, dude. Like when COVID hit, I know like fuck COVID, but at the same time, it was kind of a blessing in disguise.
Some silver lining to it.
Yeah, I mean, not to downplay like all the people that died and shit, you know what I mean? But if you want to look at some of the positives that COVID brought, was that people started really fucking getting into plants at that point because they couldn't leave their fucking house, and so they wanted to do something to give them, an idea to like go outside, or like a reason to fucking go outside and get some air and a little exercise and shit. So
get to know their roots.
Yeah,
pun intended.
Literally, yeah. So I've had homies that were just like. They didn't give a shit. They didn't give any shits about plants. And then COVID hit, and all of a sudden they're hitting me up for plant questions and all this shit. Like, bro, I'm going to show you my garden, and I got these fucking tomatoes. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude.
How do I get rid of these damn bugs,
dude?
Yeah.
So it's sick, man. I don't know. And it's just like, I don't know. It's cool. It's just a cool. And then once I started studying that shit, like, I really started realizing how everything is kind of like interconnected, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's how it helped me a little bit too, just figuring shit out. Like I don't know.
Yeah, trial by fire kind of thing, and just getting in there, dipping in your toes.
Yeah. So and it's cool, and then I turned it into a fucking career, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
that's amazing, dude.
Dude, I did this. I actually worked at a mushroom farm for a bit.
Didn't you do like a paper on some mushrooms, like an academic journal, or
so that was my thesis. So I did my master's thesis. There's this mine spill that happened up in northern New Mexico, southern Colorado, where like the Navajo Nation is, right?
Yeah.
And it was this mine spill that happened. They were like investigating the site, and they knocked the soil plug loose, and like 3 million gallons of contaminated water like flowed into the fucking river.
Oh.
And they wanted to clean it up. They turned it into a Superfund site where they're funneling all this money in it for like 10 years. And honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I got my bachelor's degree, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I want to do. And then I was looking at one of my professor's CVs, or like his resume or whatever, and it said one of his research topics was phytoremediation. I said, what the fuck is that? I've never heard of that before. And then I looked into it, and I was like, it's literally just using plants to remediate the environment, to remove contaminants from the soil, from the groundwater, all this stuff. So I got really fucking interested in it. And I was like, man, this is super interesting. I want to do this shit. So I was taking the soil science class at the same time, and I talked to my soil science professor. I had to do this exit interview with the department head, and he's like, well, what do you want to do basically after you get your degree? I was like, I was really looking into this phytoremediation thing, you know, and I was looking for a professor that researches the topic, and he's like, oh, like this lady does. And I was like, oh shit, I'm in her soils class right now. So I hit her up with an email, and I was like, yo, I was like, dude, I was like, would you be willing to take me on as a graduate student? And she was just like, fuck yeah, dude, I would be honored to take you on as a graduate student. Cool. So I started, as an undergrad, I started in her lab, just kind of getting familiar with stuff. And then my original plan was to use this aquatic plant to try to remove I was particularly looking at iron, and I was using this aquatic plant to see if it would remove any of the iron. But then I wrote this grant proposal, this like $6,000 grant proposal, and they gave me $3,000, and they were like, yeah, we didn't give you the $6,000 because your idea is good for an undergraduate, but for a graduate student, it needs more fucking substance. And I was like, fuck, all right. So I had to revise like the whole thing. And I was like, well, what can I do? So the whole idea of like doing scientific research is you look for these holes, these gaps in information, and you try to fill those fucking gaps.
Nice.
So they've done it with this aquatic plant where they've looked at its ability to uptake iron from from whatever environment it's in, from the water. They've done the same thing with oyster mushrooms, but they never combine the two. And I'm like, all right, dude, like, you know, that's where I'll come in. I'll combine the two, and I'll see what's up. So I removed this iron with this plant called duckweed, and then I broke it down with this oyster mushroom mycelium, and then I analyzed like the fruiting bodies, like the edible portion of the oyster mushrooms, to see if any of the iron had transferred. Because the idea was to create like 40% of the world is anemic, right? And so 40% of the world is has iron deficiency. Iron's used in every fucking living organism. It's like hemoglobin in our blood. It's used in like photosynthesis for plants and shit like that. So the idea for me originally, because my original hypothesis was that the iron was going to transfer to these actual mushrooms, these fruiting bodies, and I was like, well, maybe we can market this shit, and maybe we can create these enriched iron mushrooms and help fight anemia. Like, that'd be fucking dope.
That would be sick.
But then it didn't happen that way. It did not happen that way. There's no difference in like the iron concentration in the mushrooms compared to the ones that didn't have supplemental iron in them or whatever. So I was like, well, fuck, how can we put a positive spin on this, you know? Because it's not, like, negative results are still results, but it's not fun to do all this research and be all amped about it and think you're going to find some cool shit, and then you don't find cool shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, how can we spin this in a positive way? Well, it turns out iron is a transition metal. So is lead, so is fucking, like, mercury, and so is a bunch of very, very toxic shit. The transition metals tend to act similarly in like similar environments. So theoretically, of course, like more research has to be done to actually like prove this, but theoretically, if the iron didn't move from the duckweed to the mushrooms, then you can speculate that neither like the lead would or the mercury or shit like that either. So who knows? Maybe you can remove these fucking, super contaminant heavy metals from this waterway, break it down with these oyster mushroom mycelium, and then still have an edible mushroom. So it's like a zero waste kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was a whole fucking thing, dude. Like a whole thing.
So cool and so interesting, man. Like, so how the hell from like high school until where you're at now? I know that's a long jump, and we can, like I said, maybe dive back into some old memories and stuff too. Those are always fun. But like, why plant science? Like, was there a turning point in college where you doing just general ed and then fell deeper into the plant side of things, or?
So what happened was, I say it took me 10 years. Shit, it took me 11 years to get a 6-year degree. Like a master's degree is a 6-year degree, right?
Sure.
I wasn't even gonna go to fucking college, dude.
In the perfect scenario.
Yeah.
6-year degree.
Yeah, but then of course you get the research holds you back and all that kind of shit.
Right, yeah.
But I wasn't even gonna go to college.
Because anyone who does knock out a master's in six years is like, well, goddamn.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell did you manage that? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and a lot of times those are the people that know what the fuck they want to do.
Right off the bat, medical school or something, or lawyer. I'm going to be a lawyer or a doctor, like a really clear path.
And like we were discussing earlier, I have a lot of different interests, and so it's really hard for, like, it's actually like a blessing and a curse, I guess, because it's really hard for me. I'm never bored because I got all this fucking shit I'm interested in.
Yep.
But it also kind of sucks because, because I'm interested in so much shit, it took me a while to know what I wanted to do. And, I graduated high school with straight D's, bro. Like, I had a fucking 1.0 when I graduated school, dude. Yeah. I'm fucking lucky that I even graduated. It's crazy. But it's just because I had dope-ass teachers. Like,
sure.
Honestly, and they gave a shit about me, which, it's good shit. I'm thankful for them now.
Yeah.
I've told them that even, dude. I have some of those same teachers on Facebook, and I've hit them up, and I'd be like, dude, I know I was kind of a dick in high school, but I'm like, bro, I fucking, I just appreciate, like, you guys. And, like, looking at where I'm at now, I don't know. I kind of wish I had the mentality I have now in high school, but at the same time, I would rather be a fucking idiot when I'm younger and then be mature when I'm older, as opposed to the opposite. You know what I mean?
Right. And see, a lot of times it flips around, and this is on all kinds of things. It's like a paradox. Like the chicks who are hot in high school are like not hot later on in life. Like, they let themselves go, or they get knocked up and they just get flabby, or like they get on a meth habit or some shit. And then the chicks that were kind of nerdy and like still wearing Pocahontas backpacks and shit in like 11th grade, and you're like, she's, like later on in life, they're like super fucking hot. Like, and successful. And it's the same thing with like football players in high school. They peak in high school. They're like, they're like the shit. They're the quarterback on the team, and then like you see them later and they have a beer gut and like 6 fucking kids, and like they hate their job, and like they're miserable.
And I'm just
And I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but it's like, and then you got the reverse where it's like, oh, the stoner kid in high school ends up being a fucking scientist, or like skater trash fucking kid that just skateboards is like a teacher or some shit like me, and you're like, you never saw that coming. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and like to go back to your original question, I wasn't gonna go to college at all. Like, I fucking wasn't, dude. Like, I had moved out of my house when I was 18, because I had that 18-year-old mentality where I was like, fucking, I'm an adult and I fucking know everything about everything and all this bullshit.
It reminds me of The Lonely Island, where he's like, I'm an adult! Andy Samberg or whatever.
I've seen that throw it on the ground shit, dude.
You can't buy me hot dogs, man! I'm an adult!
This shit's so dumb, dude. It's funny as fuck.
I love those guys.
But yeah, like, I had that mentality when I was 18, where I was just like, fuck living at home, fuck all this shit. I'm just gonna go and do whatever I want. I'm a fucking man, and I'm an adult, and I know everything about everything. And it's not true, you know what I mean? Like, it definitely not. I don't even fucking think that way now. But when I was 18, that happened, and I ended up moving to Cruces. And I was fucking jobless, bro. I was jobless for fucking 6 months. barely making ends meet. And then just like it was just a shitty situation. My fucking house got broken into. They stole like $3,000 worth of shit. And it was just like it wasn't good.
You were already low, and then it got worse.
Yeah. At the same time, though, that, again, there's pros and cons to everything. The pro to that was, since I didn't have a job and I wasn't in school and all that shit, I was never a skater. You know, I could never fucking ollie or any of that shit. I could never do anything. But there was this basketball court outside my apartment complex, and I'm like, I don't got shit else to do. Yeah. I'm just gonna go fucking ride around. I'm just gonna learn some shit. Whenever I would try to ollie, it would be like a 90-degree ollie. It was like fucking weird, right?
My friend Eric used to do that.
Yeah.
He's like had to work with him and straighten out his ollies, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I was like, well, instead of just learning like an ollie, I'll learn the front 180 first, because I'm already leaning that way anyway. So I actually learned the front 180 before I learned how to like fucking straight ollie, just because of the way it was.
Same with Eric, dude. Eric did the same thing.
Yeah. So that was like the blessing in disguise, I guess, for that particular situation, because who knows, maybe I probably wouldn't skate now if I didn't go through that shit. But again, you never know how it would be, the whole butterfly effect thing.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, so it was just shitty. Like, it was a shitty situation, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna we're also in a recession at that point, so it was really hard to find a job. Like, even fucking trying to work at Sonic or some shit was really hard. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna hit my mom back up, and I'm gonna see if I can go back to Alamo and like live there and like kind of start over or whatever. And my dad was in really bad health at that point, so I came back in like January of like 2010. My dad died in February of 2010. That's that shit that fucking motivated me, dude. I was like, I could take this loss, and of course, I was sad. I'm still fucking sad about it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But like, I don't really dwell on it though. I could take this loss, and I can go one of two ways. I can get really fucking depressed, start eating a bunch of shit, and then just get real fat and just fuck myself over. Or I could take the opposite approach, you know what I mean? Like, and I can start being healthy. I can start like doing all this shit for myself. I can like, I can kind of not necessarily like avenge his death, but make it to where if he was still alive, that he would like be proud of the shit that I'm doing. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? So that's the way I looked at it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking go to college, and I'm gonna give it a shot, dude. I had kind of a shitty time in high school, with like classes and stuff. I just wasn't into it, and the fact that you had to just be there for like fucking 8 hours a day. Yep. And then in college, you can you take a class, and then you just fucking dip out for like an hour, and then you come back.
If you don't show up, it's on you. Yeah. But hey, you're paying for it, motherfucker, so you might as well show up. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that, and like I went to school, when I was like 19, and then that summer I took an English class, and I still had that high school mentality a little bit, but I took an English class, and we had to do this research paper, and we had to go talk to the professor about what we wanted to talk about. And I was like, I'm going to talk about why cannabis should be legal. And I had that high school mentality, so I was like, she's probably going to look at this and be like, you can't fucking do that,
Yeah.
And then I went and talked to her, and she was like, that's a really fucking good idea. And then I realized that, like, the freedom that you have in like college, and I was like, you know what, I might dig this. I might actually dig this. That was the first time I ever got fucking good grades, like, after high school. I ended up getting an A in that course or whatever, and I'm like, cool, man. So I've always had like an interest in plants or whatever, and then I changed throughout my degree plans. Like, I've changed so many times, dude. Like, I was gonna do geology, I was gonna do fucking art, I was gonna do education. Like, again, like, just goes back to all the interests I have. And then I was gonna do like geohydrology and fucking plant ecology and like all this other shit. And then I settled. So what happened was I got my associates in general science from here at MSUA. Then I went to Cruces to get my bachelor's degree, and originally I was going for environmental science, and I wasn't too fond of like not necessarily the program, but the classes I had to take.
Right.
So what happened then was I was going to change my degree to art, and I was in the process of changing my degree to art, and I had this job. I worked at this landscaping company, and it was like a 6-month gig, and after the 6 months, they took 2 people to Yellowstone. Fucking Yellowstone National Park.
Sick.
And one of the dudes didn't want to go because he was like, well, it's going to cut 2 weeks into when school starts. And me, I was like, fuck school, dude. And like, I can go to school anytime. This is to go to Yellowstone for fucking free.
Yeah.
And to get, even more than free, dude. I got paid for it.
To go work at Yellowstone.
Yeah, because I did some like trail maintenance out there, closing down social trails and shit like that.
Sick.
So I went out to Yellowstone. And I did some shit out there, and then so I met a bunch of homies from all around the fucking states, which was kind of cool. And
awesome,
then, dude. And then when I came back, I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do fucking like not shitting on art or anything, but my mindset at the time, I was like, fucking art degree, dude. Like, I'm gonna have to take like 150 credits. Like, it's basically like starting college all over again.
You had already gone quite a far way in science.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what are the options? You know what I mean? When I came back, I worked in a nursery because I took that semester off. So I worked in a nursery when I came back. I had 2 job offers. One was at this place called Sapphire, where they converted like algae to biofuel. And then another one was with the city of Las Cruces, working in the nursery in the Parks and Rec department. So
putting trees in places, right? Like, weren't you going around Cruces like planting all kinds of trees?
That's a different story.
That's badass too. I used to see you on like Instagram and shit, like planted another tree. I'm like, dude, look at this motherfucker, dude. Like,
and
planting trees.
It was kind of the same way that this fucking job happened that I have now. I shot the idea out, and they thought it was a good fucking idea. And they were just like, cool, we'll run with it. Come up with a fucking plan. So basically what happened was I was working in this nursery. There was like 3,000 fucking trees. It wasn't even a nursery. It was just a place for plants to go and die. And
oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah. There was like 3,000 trees, and they started bringing us in to the morning meetings. And they were like, dude, we want to order 200 more trees. And I'm just like, fucking, we already got 3,000 trees, bro. If you're going to order 200 more trees, can we at least start planting shit in places? And they were like, get with the GIS lady, come up with a fucking plan, and then you'll get your, if it's good, we'll let you. And I'm like, cool. So that's exactly what I did. I went to the GIS lady. I was all, hit me up with a fucking map. I'm going to go check out this place. And the way I went about it was, they have these trees have these little bubblers, these little irrigation systems and stuff. And some of them weren't like capped. You can cap the bubblers to like shut the irrigation off. And a lot of them weren't capped. So I would just go and I would find these bubblers that were just watering the fucking dirt and weeds and shit. I was like, it's an empty spot, dude. Let's throw a fucking plant there. So that's what I did.
Wow.
and they
go fucking figure,
dude. And they let me do it. It's unbelievable because I'm just like, I don't know.
think of all the wasted effort of mankind, all the wasted energy on dumb shit and the rules and regulations, and how many spots that there's a hole where there's just water being just fresh, clean water just being wasted. That's not going to anything,
and if it puddles up, it'll serve as like a mosquito breeding ground.
Oh,
dude.
God, and fuck mosquitoes. No one likes mosquitoes.
Dude.
I mean, they're necessary for like whatever, like life on Earth and shit. Like mosquitoes have their place in the biosphere of life.
I don't know, man.
But those motherfuckers, I hate mosquitoes, dude. I hate them.
I've talked to entomologists that were like,
we could get rid of them.
If I could get rid of one fucking bug, it would be mosquitoes. But it's only the females that bite, bro. It's only the females that suck your blood.
Those bitches.
The males, it's always the females that suck your blood.
Fucking
and like
goddamn gold diggers.
And the males are actually pretty important pollinators. So it's good to have them around. The females need blood for their eggs, so they can produce eggs or whatever. But and in retrospect, I feel like I don't have the right to bitch about mosquitoes anymore because I have homies from like the fucking East Coast that are like, they got the Jumanji mosquitoes out there.
Like a hummingbird and shit. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, all right, we got these little pissant mosquitoes. It's not that bad.
We're fine.
Yeah.
It's not like Alaska or some shit or
Dude.
fucking South America or
like,
some other.
Or like fucking Australia.
Oh,
that
my
outback.
God.
Yeah, it's not good. But
Damn,
yeah, so...
dude.
So I came back, I started working in this nursery, and then one of my jobs besides being a nursery worker was to do a citywide tree inventory. So there's like 100 fucking parks or some shit in Las Cruces, and I worked with one of my friends who pretty much taught me everything that I know. Well, maybe not now, but in the beginning, he taught me a lot of the shit that I know now about plant identification. And I would have to go around these city parks and just account for every single fucking tree. It was like parks and right-of-ways and anything that was maintained by the city. I have to account for all these fucking trees. And there are some places, like Young Park, where I have my book, that my book is based on. There's 500 fucking trees in that park. So I'm just walking around, just fucking looking at the trees and shit, putting my little dots in the fucking thing, and then there's all these little drop boxes that you have to fill out too. So it forced me to learn a lot of shit about plants, and then working in the nursery, I realized that I really fucking love just working around plants, dude. They're cool fucking things, and so, like I said, I took that semester off. So the next semester, I hit up one of the people in Cruces, in the plant and environmental science department, and he was like my undergrad advisor. And I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to study. What can I do with a bachelor's degree in horticulture? And at first I wanted to study botany, but botany is just like an umbrella term, And there's all these little subsects of fucking botany. And so you kind of have to choose exactly what you want to do. And I chose horticulture because it's like the art and science of growing plants, because you could be a fucking landscape designer, right? That's where the art comes in, because you have these different colors and contrasts and fucking lines and shapes and textures and all this shit.
Sick.
And then there's the science part of it, where you have to know about the physiology and the anatomy and all this other shit about how plants grow. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna choose that. And then I did some research when I was an undergraduate. I did research in the biology department because I wanted to study tropical plant ecology. That was my first idea, was to do just tropical plant ecology. And here we're subtropical at best. So I would have to go to like fucking Florida or something. But I mean, not shitting on Florida, but I would not fucking live in Florida, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I ain't trying to see alligators and shit. Like,
right. Like Amy was a big fan of Florida. Amy did a Disney internship there and lived there for like 6 months. And
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but you didn't live in Florida. Like, you lived at Disney World. I'm like, how about you go to Florida for a while and then like live there and see if you get a job and all that.
Yeah.
If you like living in Florida, maybe I'll consider like, let's go to Florida. This was several years ago. I'm like, I don't know, man. Florida's not, like you said, gators. Like, that shit's gnarly, dude, and there's fucking snakes and water moccasins and motherfucking alligators, like, snatching up dogs and little kids and shit.
I was going to say...
Fuck that. I know it's rare, but it's still...
Yeah, even in...
And the hurricanes, bro?
Yeah, fuck that, dude.
Fuck.
I'm a fan, like, I don't know, the most I can bitch about here is, like, the dry heat.
Yeah.
But that's it, like, the New Mexico, it's a fucking beautiful state, like, and we have... It's very... biodiverse, you know what I mean? Like, you can drive up 15 minutes to fucking Cloudcroft and it's just a whole nother... You go through that tunnel and it's like going through fucking, like, the hole in Alice in Wonderland, you know what I mean? Like, there's just, like, there's trees and shit all of a sudden. And
all of a sudden.
Fuck?
Dude, because you jump from, like, what, 4,300 to, like, in Cloudcroft, it's like 8,400 or something?
Yeah, like 9,000, something like that. So. And,
yeah, it's a huge elevation shift in, like, 20 minutes.
And it's cool, so, I don't know, but anyway, yeah, so I wanted to do this tropical plant ecology shit, and then I was going to take this ecology course, and I hit up the lady that was supposed to teach it, and I was like, yeah, I'm interested in tropical plant ecology. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to study. And she was like, well, I'm more of an animal ecologist, but either way, I'm not teaching the class. It's going to be this other dude. She's all, but hit up this professor, and he does, he's a plant evolutionary biologist. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I hit him up. I'm telling you, bro, like, a lot of the success that I've had is just because I had the courage to send a fucking email. You know what I mean? Or come up with an idea, and people just roll with it.
Yeah, there's like a quote, I think my mom told me or something, but it's like those who show up decide, pretty much. Like, if you throw your name in the hat, like, you have a chance of being drawn. But motherfuckers don't throw their name in the hat. Like, if you don't ask, the answer's automatically no. If you don't put yourself out there, the answer is for sure no.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
The only thing you have to risk is you're like, I put it out there.
And then
like, it's either a yes or a no, but at least you have the possibility of either one. But if you never ask, it's a no.
And the worst that can happen is they say no. Like, you know,
Yeah.
they're not going to pull out a fucking gun and shoot you, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just going to say no, and that's really not that bad, you know? Like,
It's not that bad.
it's like, whatever. So I hit this dude up, and I'm like, bro, this is what I want to do. He's like, well, this isn't what my lab does, but, you know, talk to these other people, and then if you like what my lab does, then you can come into my lab. Cool. So I hit up these other people, and I was just like, I kind of looked at their research. I'm like, I'm not very interested. And so I hit this dude back up, and I'm like, all right, I want to work in your lab. He's like, I don't have any money to pay you. It's like, I don't care, dude. I want to get the experience. You know what I mean? Like, and it turns out I was able to work for graduate credits, like as an undergraduate, because I did this accelerated master's program where anything that was above a 450 level class when I was an undergraduate that I've taken up to 12 credit hours would count towards my graduate degree.
Steal.
Yeah, so I did that because just in case the research held me back, I wouldn't have to worry about the coursework as well. And it ended up being perfect because the fucking research did help hold me back. You know what I mean? So it ended up working out the way I
thought it would go on to benefit you.
Yeah, exactly. So it ended up being cool. But I worked in this dude's lab, and he did this genomics project where we were collaborating with Murdoch University in Western Australia. And there are these plants that are invasive, but they're legumes, so they're related to peas and peanuts and fucking
cashews and shit. Or no?
No, the ones like, so there are these plants that can like take atmospheric nitrogen and fix it and use it into like turn it into a usable form for the plant, right?
No shit.
And it's generally the legume family. The family name is Fabaceae, but it's the legume family that can do it, and so nitrogen is one of those precursors to protein development. So they wanted to grow these plants so they could feed their cattle with it, because it's
more lean or better plant for make the cattle better.
Well, and that's why when you look at like plant proteins and shit like that, it's always beans and peas,
pea protein
and shit like that, because they're all the ones that can fix that nitrogen, you know what I mean, and create those protein precursors, basically.
No shit.
Yeah, so like it gets fucking intricate, but so they wanted to grow these plants so they could feed their cows, and the problem is the plant was like super invasive, and it was invasive because of the seed. The seed would spread or whatever, right? So obviously you need a flower to make seed, right? Because it's like the mature ovary, and then that turns into the little fucking embryo or whatever, which is the seed. And so I used like Linux, fucking computer programming, to look for these flowering genes. They could either be like repressors or promoters. And so you either have to upregulate them or downregulate them or whatever, depending on what they were, because we wanted to find the genes that, to put it like in layman's terms, I guess, we wanted to find the genes that were responsible for flowers so we could fucking eliminate them. So they could be like, so they could grow these fucking plants and not worry about them like being invasive and taking over the whole shit.
This is the lab that you were kind of like working for graduate credits?
Yeah. So I did that for a year.
Nice.
So that was the little bit of genomics research that I had under my belt, and then I went and I took after that was when I went and I got into the other lab where I worked on the remediation shit. So,
sick.
Yeah, dude. So
Man.
there's been a lot of shit, dude. Like,
So
you know
much.
what I mean?
Like, we barely just scratched the surface on that, man. So what are you teaching? You're teaching up on the hill, and you're teaching what's the class?
It's horticulture 1115G, which is they changed all the numbers around, so it used to roll off the tongue better. It used to just be called Hort 100, but now I gotta call it like Hort 1115 or some shit, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So it is what it is, but it's an introductory to plant science. So it's literally just a general overview of fucking everything, which actually makes it kind of complicated because once you start getting into like those upper level classes, like the 300, 400, 500 level class, you start specializing.
Sure, the scope gets more narrow.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like you don't have to worry about all this fringe material.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it at the base level of the pyramid, it's way wider.
It's wider, and then the students aren't, you know, they don't have that background. Not to say that they're not knowledgeable.
They just don't have the reference point that you do.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So, and that's one of the challenges, honestly, dude, is that coming from where I'm at, like, you, like, throwing a bunch of fucking terminology out and using scientific names for plants and shit like that instead of, you know, names, like, common names that people are used to, I kind of gotta, like, I gotta pull it back.
Strip it down in a way that almost a kid could understand it.
Yeah, and that's
like,
the challenge.
It's a huge challenge.
It's yeah, and I don't know. It's cool because so far I feel like I've made an impact. You know, with my students have been very engaged. You know, honestly, dude, the class almost didn't fucking make it. It almost didn't make it.
Like the numbers, you have to have a certain attendance.
Yeah, so I had 3 fucking people.
Wow.
I had 3 people that signed up for this class.
I wanted to fucking sign up, but I I teach at a different school at those hours. But I was like, man, I'll fucking take Jason's class, dude.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because
shit.
And other people have hit me up. Fucking Flea, dude. I don't even know the guy. Like I don't think I've ever fucking had a conversation with him
in person.
Yeah, I've seen him at the Thule skate park and shit like that, you know, a couple times. But like
maybe social media shit.
Yeah, I've never talked to him in person, and it's just cool, you know, because like there's someone that you've never really talked to in person. Or forgive me if I'm wrong. Maybe we have met each other.
But it's been so few and far between. It's not really standout-ish.
Yeah, and so it's just cool that like someone that I only primarily know through social media, you know, still hit me up and was like, bro, I want to take your fucking class. I'm like, come through, dude. We got fucking 13 empty seats. Let's go. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
It's cool, man. Like, it's just, it's cool.
Did he end up taking the class?
No, I told him to roll through. You know, hopefully next semester they let me offer it. I've had people hit me up too. They're like, dude, are you doing this shit online? I'm like, no, dude, I'm sorry. They asked me if I wanted to do it online, but I'm not a fan. I might, if they let me teach like 2 sections or some shit next semester, I might do 1 in person and 1 online.
Sure.
Cause there's some random lady from fucking Raton that hit me up, like pretty much the border of Colorado and New Mexico.
Yeah.
And she was interested in the class because she works in the agricultural field. And I was like, I'm sorry, dude, it's only face-to-face.
Right.
And she's like, well, I'm going to be keeping an eye on your shit because I'm interested. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude.
Cool,
so
man.
It's gaining some traction, which is good. But I had the 3 students originally, and then they had hit me up from NMSUA, and they were like, we don't know if your class is going to make it. It's stagnant at three people. And I'm just like, fuck, dude.
Damn.
So I went on Facebook, and I had there's this guy that teaches art up there.
Taylor?
Adams. Yeah, John Adams.
John Adams,
and so shout out John Adams. But he made my flyer. He made my flyer for this hort class, and then
he's a graphic design guy, right? Like or he's
does
something.
Does he teach like I think he might teach photography too.
And then there's Keller, Dr. Keller or Ron Keller. He helped me out. He did some
Really?
observations for me to help me out with my school, the photography guy. But they're probably all mixed. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't know him.
They're all good dudes up there.
Yeah. Well, and the problem with that is, like, a lot of times I'll have to bring people from main campus because there's, like, a very low,
like staff up there.
When it comes to art, for sure, there's always
there's like 3 of them or something.
Yeah. So he made me this flyer, right, for my class, and then I was told that it might not make it because there's 3 people, and then he's like, well, I need at least 5 to advocate for your class. It's like, fuck. So I took the flyer and I just blasted it all over Facebook, dude. I went on the for sale pages. I went on, like, even the Las Cruces community watch. I went on there and I was like, I know this isn't Las Cruces, but I know y'all got homies in Alamogordo, tell them to take my shit. And then I started getting these emails from all these random people and interested in taking my class. And I was like, cool. So it steady went from 3 to 4 to 6. And then I just added a new student, actually. Like, they hit me up because they needed my approval for the student. And they're like, yeah, we want to add this new student. Do you accept? Hell yeah, I accept, bro. Like, I still got 13 fucking empty seats.
That's amazing, dude.
Let's
and
go.
It's like another example of, like, if you didn't put yourself out there, you would have been told no. They would have been like, you don't have enough people. But
exactly.
But you were like, no, like, I'm gonna have the people to do this shit. Like, I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't know. I at a certain point, I almost shot myself in the foot if I didn't really think about it too much, because I have a research position right now at main campus, so I'm working 2 jobs. I'm teaching over here. I'm doing research at main campus. And originally they told me, they were like, dude, you can't work more than 0.74 full-time employment hours or whatever. You're gonna have to give up your position at main campus. And I was like, why don't I just alter my hours? They're like, oh, maybe that's a good idea. I'm like, cool. So I talked to my supervisor. I'm like, bro, I'm altering my hours for this shit. And then he's like, all right, cool. And the cool thing was that, like, my supervisor that I work for now at main campus was my co-advisor for my master's thesis, because he's the mycology guy. So
sure.
He helped me with the mushroom shit. And so he knew me. And honestly, I was supposed to teach in the spring, right? And I didn't have my hard degree yet. I got everything done, but I didn't meet the deadline to defend my thesis by a specific time to graduate in December. And they're like, dude, you need your hard degree to teach out here. Fuck, all right, cool. So I was supposed to teach in spring. After I, like, did my defense or whatever, my advisor and my co-advisor, they were like, well, what's your main concern if you can't teach out there? I was like, putting fucking food on the table, dude,
Oh, yeah.
Like, raising my kid and shit. Like, those are my main concerns, really. And I don't give a shit about putting it off to another semester, but I need to make sure I have a fucking job. And I wasn't tripping too hard because I have a really good resume, but at the same time it was like mid fucking onset of COVID.
Oh God, yeah.
And so I was like, fuck, dude, like, who's even gonna hire me right now?
You gotta lock something down.
Yeah, you do. Like, it's gonna be hard to even get a job at a fucking restaurant, you know what I mean? So my co-advisor is like, well, dude, I'm coming into some grant money, I think, so I'll hire you. Like, I'll hire you in my lab. I got fucking space for you. And I took this guy's class. He teaches fungal biology and diagnosing plant disorders. I took both of his classes when I was undergraduate, and then he was my co-advisor for my graduate degree. And so I knew the dude, like, on a personal level. So he's like, yeah, I don't mind bringing you to the lab. And he got, like, I think it was a $450,000 grant for 3 years, I believe, to study pathogens in Chile.
Wow.
And he was like, bro, I got money for you. Like, come through.
Come work.
Yeah, I'm like, let's go, dude. So
yes,
that ended up happening. But he knew that I was going to be teaching down here. So he knew from the get-go that it wasn't going to be like a permanent kind of deal. It was just going to be like, well, I'm down here. I'm gonna help you out in your lab, and then at some point I'm gonna teach. So the hope now is that this class goes through and does well, and then they let me bring more, because since the community college, you can really bring anything under a 300 level class there, and there's a bunch of different classes I could teach. So hopefully they just let me teach a bunch of classes, and then eventually they just, you know, offer me a full professorship, and then I just turn this shit into a career.
Yes,
dude, that's the ultimate goal, honestly. Like,
yes,
I don't
dude,
know.
you know what's so cool? Like, is like being a student forever, and like sometimes you're just like, how the fuck did I end up on the other side of this? Like,
yeah,
like it's almost like seamless. Like you're like a student for so long, and then all of a sudden you're like you were like a TA and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Too, like, so you were already like teacher assistant, and
yeah.
you already had some of that, but like now it's cool, like you get to design your own syllabus and like completely write your own program.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, well, where the hell do we even start? And you're like,
Dude.
it's just like, it's a challenge to like take all this huge umbrella of stuff and be like, all right, here's day one.
Yeah.
Like, and put a scope and sequence together and a syllabus and all that. Like, isn't it cool, like putting your own shit together?
Oh,
though?
dude,
like,
yeah, it's fun.
It's like,
and then it's
so
funny
cool.
because like day one, I literally, because my class is 2 hours long, and day one, I just fucking rambled on about myself, dude.
Ramble on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like shout out. Yeah, I like I just, because I wanted to show the students, I was like, dude, and I told them this too. I was like, bro, I want to show you guys that they didn't just choose some fucking rando off the street to teach this shit. You know what I mean? And then also another thing, we're going to be talking about jobs, like potential careers you can get in horticulture. So I want to show you that I've actually lived my fucking subject material, and I'm not just like...
Practice what you preach.
Yeah.
And like, I've been there by example.
Yeah, so I literally, and I told them too.
And you started right where they're at now,
Exactly.
if not even less. Like,
yeah,
you know.
So, and I told them, I was just like, yeah, dude, I'm sorry if I'm just like, so I don't want you guys to think I'm egotistical or anything, but
here's where I'm coming from, and here's why I'm here.
Yeah, and but again, it was cool, man. Like people have been involved. I turned one of my students on to a fucking horticulture profession. You know, like that student's been talking to me like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but now after hearing you talk, I'm just like, man, I think this is what I want to do. I'm like, cool, man, because if I can inspire you to do that, and then you can inspire 2 people, and then they can inspire 4 people, and then it just grows fucking exponentially. That's that impact that I'm trying to have. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing this shit because it's a fucking paycheck, dude. Like, you know what I mean? I'm doing it to actually make a fucking impact, and to get people to realize that, like, I don't know, I was talking about this the other day with somebody, and I was just like, dude, one of the things I want you to realize with this class is that, like, if you turn the fucking news off and you pay attention to the shit that's around you, you'll realize that the world really isn't that fucking shitty, dude. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of people, like, I don't know, I see people on, like, Facebook and shit, they're like, man, I'm bored as fuck, bored.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, how?
I'm like, I remember, like,
I don't know,
like
Doug.
my mom or stepdad or someone, or I was like, I'm bored, and they're like, oh, you're bored, huh? Like, we'll find something for you to do. And then, like, you know, when you're a kid, like, you have time to be bored and whatever. But
Yeah.
like you said, like, nowadays, it's like, there's no way I could be bored. Like, there's not enough time in the day for all the shit I'm trying to get done and do. And
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have your moments where it's slow
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever. You're just chilling with your thoughts or whatever. But there's always a storm brewing up there, and you're like, what could I be doing
Well, and
next?
there's just so much, especially living in, like, a place like this, where you're just surrounded by fucking mountains. You know what I mean? You're surrounded by all this super fucking dope shit. And
People take it for granted. They're like, oh, New Mexico sucks, or Alamo
Yeah.
is boring, or, you know, I wish they could go somewhere else. And you know, but there's pros and cons to everywhere, you know? And it's
Yeah.
like, go ahead. Like, you want to leave so bad, like, take some initiative and go on. Go live your dream somewhere. Like, what's stopping you?
dude,
You know?
and sometimes that fucking sucks.
And
Like,
sometimes you find yourself somewhere else,
Yeah.
but really, you take yourself everywhere you go.
well,
So
and then-
it's your lenses that you're wearing as, like, your character, they don't change unless you change them.
Yeah.
And your environment is like, it changes when you decide to change from within, you know?
And even then, like, sometimes it just sucks too, because I remember when I first moved to Cruces in 2014, so I've been down there for fucking 7 years now. But I moved down in 2014 when I got my associates from here, and it sucked, dude. And like, you know, I was getting less money at my job. My neighbors sucked. My fucking landlord sucked. I had to give my dog away because of my fucking neighbors, bro. I mean, I got him back and shit. You know what I mean? Like, I had my homie.
Like, you rehomed him temporarily.
Yeah, I had my homie take care of him. I call him fucking Animal Jesus, because he would take all the dogs that...
He saves.
Yeah. he would take all the dogs that have bad reputations, Rottweilers, Pit Bulls, and shit like that. And I have a pit mix, and that's why I had to get rid of him.
That's what Chop Dog is, man.
Yeah, dude. And
He's a fucking Pit Bull mutt mix. Like,
dude, and they're like the best fucking dogs.
They couldn't put a label on him. They're like, we know he's a Pit Bull, but he's got something else, and he's just a fucking Pit Bull mix.
And they're the best dogs, dude. Like, I would trust that dog in a room with my fucking 5-year-old kid.
All day, every day.
All day.
Yeah.
But I had a little Shih Tzu miniature pincher mix, and I was like, I had to watch that motherfucker,
that little
dude.
Fucking yapper.
The little ankle biter, dude.
Yeah,
I had to watch him. But yeah, so I just had a real shitty time when I first moved, to the point where I was actually contemplating moving back, you know, and then just commuting. And then I didn't really want to do that either, like, in all honesty. And I was like, I'll just fucking ride it out and see what happens.
Sure.
So what happened was, me and my ex were, well, I mean, she wasn't my ex at the time, but, you know, we were living together. And I got this scholarship, or like this internship from NASA, where they fucking like flew me out to Houston, and I did some robotics shit. You know what I mean? Like,
God damn. I vaguely remember that. Like, fucking NASA,
yeah,
dude.
So I fucked with robotics basically, and just did this shit out there. And it was cool. We hit up a 2-star bar every fucking night we were out there, dude. Just got shitty. And
nice.
Yeah, it was fun times. And then I remember when I came back, we came back to the apartment, and we see this fucking U-Haul, and then we see our neighbors are moving out, and we're like, no fucking way, dude, like, that's sick. And they moved out, and then I quit fucking Sonic, because like the lady that I was working with, like, fucking hated me. It was just a really weird thing. Because over here, I worked at the Sonic over here for fucking a minute, dude, like 5 years or some shit.
Right, yeah.
And everyone was cool over there.
Several of the homies worked there.
Yeah, and everyone was cool over there. And then I went to the Sonic in Las Cruces, and one of the Sonics, there's like 5 Sonics down there. I went to one of the Sonics in Las Cruces and worked there, and you would go to help somebody out because you would be slow, and they would get pissed at you for helping them.
I can do it myself.
Yeah, I don't understand
I'll
that.
Suck my own dick.
I don't understand that dynamic, dude. I'm like, all right. So it ended up
fucking
being
assholes.
Like, I know. And like, it ended up just being kind of a shitty situation. But then I quit that job, and then I got my landscaping job, and that's when shit started going, you know, uphill.
Where you needed to go anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was kind of the turning point, and when I was like, all right, Cruces ain't that bad. You know what I mean? Like,
it's just a different side of Cruces you needed to discover, and it wasn't the Sonic side.
Yeah,
it was just the planting trees side. Yeah.
Well, it's just the change, dude. Like, you know, they say that the survival of the fittest. You know, it's like those that are most able to adapt to change are the ones that are gonna fucking survive.
Absolutely, it's proven. Yeah.
So you have to adapt to that change. You know what I mean? Like, and you have to get out of your comfort zone a lot of the times too, to, you know,
to grow.
To make those changes and shit. So
that's one of my bullet points on here, dude, is growth mindset. Because again, pun intended, you're like over here growing plants and shit, but you're also growing a network of people growing this. Like you said, you want to make an impact. You're like the new catalyst to grow this other thing, this theoretical concept of like people bettering themselves and bettering yourself and all that. But that's one of the things that's interesting to me about somebody like you is there's a lot of self-help shit, and everyone's gone down that rabbit hole maybe of like the self-help books and the podcasts and the whatever, and you can take some of it with a grain of salt. A lot of it's the same themes over and over. But just to talk about that a little bit, man, you've like come a long way and you lost your dad and stuff, and that was part of it. And
yeah.
and we lost a dear friend of ours in high school.
Oh yeah.
And
shit, and that's what made me and you closer.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what the, I mean, obviously not downplaying anything, but that's again pros and cons to everything. That was one of the silver linings. Is like, dude, me and you became super homies after that. Like I remember me and you, and like Joe and everybody just kicking it.
Yeah.
Like every fucking day for the longest time. You know what I mean?
I always loved that dynamic. For those who are listening, like we had art class together in high school, Jason and I, senior year.
Yeah.
And even junior
year too, yeah.
And it really started then, and a little bit even maybe before that, like passerbyers or whatever. But and that was a special thing because it was like I had my friends I hung out with, my skater friends and my music friends and stuff. But then there's like friends from school, and I didn't fit in school anywhere. Like I didn't belong anywhere. Like. I was just like, I don't know, so I always took art as electives, but having like that crew of those weird art kids that are like, well, we don't have anywhere else to go. Like, I guess I'm going to be friends with you guys, but that became something really, really special. And
oh, yeah.
I think a lot of us grew up that year, like, because it's just like, I mean, that shit gives me the fucking chills, like, thinking about it, but, when you lose a friend, like a high school kid of yours, a friend of yours passes away from just some... out of nowhere, you're like, what the fuck? Like, it puts you in check.
Yeah, and like
you're
I
like,
said,
what am I doing? Like, acting like a fool and
Yeah.
mistreating people at all or anything.
Yeah.
Like, they're fucking here today, and then maybe they're not here tomorrow, and you're like, I looked at myself, and I was like, dude, you need to fucking step it the fuck up,
Opens your eyes, yeah. And like I said, like, I knew homie since fucking kindergarten.
In terms of treating people better, step
Yeah.
it up, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I knew him since kindergarten. So we literally grew up together, and then so that means I knew his sister when she was like, when I was like 4 or some fucking shit. However old you are in kindergarten, I should know this. I'm a fucking kid.
5 or 6, 4. Yeah, basically 5.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
And I'm really good friends with his sister and his sister's husband. Like really good friends with them. They're like my fucking family. You know what I mean?
Greg and Lacey, right?
Yeah, it's almost an insult to call them friends because they're
shout
fucking
them out.
families.
Yeah, they're family.
And
shout out Paul too. I know he's around somewhere.
Well, and it's cool because I have a lot of his old clothes because Lacey hit me up one time.
And he had some dope ass clothes,
dude,
by the way.
Yeah. And she had hit me up and she's like, we finally got through to get in Paul's shit. She told me, she was like, dude, you cherish him more than fucking anybody I've ever met. Will you take these clothes? Fuck yeah, I'll take them, dude. I'm not gonna wear them. I'm just gonna chill. And there was one time, I think, I could be wrong, but I remember this, so I'm pretty sure it happened. But I went up to their house one time, and it was like winter or some shit, up in Cloudcroft, and I was like cold or whatever, and she gave me like one of Paul's old shirts, and she's like, yeah, or like, with his jackets, and she's like, yeah, this one belonged to Paul, and I was like, just give it back to her. I can't fucking wear this, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It takes the value away from it at that point, where I'm just like, nah, like, so whenever she gave me all those clothes, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm gonna fucking do with these, but I just know that they're gonna be cherished, you know what I mean? They're not gonna just be fucking thrown in a dumpster or whatever, like, because it's clothes, it's petty, I guess, because it's just fucking fabric,
It's material. No matter what it is, it's material at the end of the day, but there's still the essence of that person.
Yeah, there's that sentiment where it's just like, dude, like, I don't know. I'm sure, like, a lot of people probably, like, might not do that, because I'm like, what am I going to do with these clothes? They're just going to sit there. I'm like, I don't have a fucking problem with that, dude, you know what I mean? Because now, like, a portion of him a portion of him always goes everywhere I go, because he's instilled in my fucking, his energy is instilled, like, in my fucking...
in your being.
Everyday shit, you know what I mean? But there's a little piece where I'm just like, I can just look at it and be like,
that's the homie.
Fuck yeah, dude, like, I don't know, it's cool shit. So I don't know, and I'm honored that they would even ask me that shit, like, do you want these clothes?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. Like, there's so many other people you could ask that shit, but you asked me, so that's cool. Like, I don't know, it's cool shit.
Paul was a beautiful soul, man. He still is. You know, he touched a lot of people, and I think about him all the time. And I didn't even really know him all that well. I didn't know him near on the level that like you grew up with him since you guys were little kids. But it's just like the real recognize real kind of thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like I just instantly knew I was like, that dude is the coolest dude. Like, god damn, he was just like glowing. You know.
I would go and hang out. Him and fucking Spaz worked together at the pizza patio in the mall. So I would always go and I'd kick it with them every once in a while, since my sister worked at fucking Kmart, and then they worked at the pizza patio in the mall at the same time.
My stepbrother Josh worked there back in the day, yeah.
The pizza patio?
It was like by the old movie theater before the movie theater got built. But yeah, pizza patio, right by Kmart.
Dude, I haven't been in this fucking mall.
It's the one you're talking about for sure.
Yeah. And I don't know, I just remember I would go and I'd kick it with them, and we'd always go outside, smoke cigarettes, and Spaz would be doing his little kick flips and shit, you know?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
It's cool shit, man. So, shout out Spaz, too.
Spaz. He's another motherfucker with a growth mindset, man. He's always getting buck, doing something cool.
I've noticed that.
Doing art, doing skating, like progressing, you know. Yeah. He's always out there getting some.
Push for progression, dude. That's his handle.
That's literally his fucking... This fucking, yeah,
so
trademark.
Shout out Spaz.
Now, see, speaking of knowing someone since fucking little kids, I went to school with Spaz since like first grade.
Oh, shit, okay.
First grade. Oh, man.
I met him in middle school? Or no, not middle school. I went to Mountain View. I think he went to Chaparral.
Oh, yeah, he did, for sure.
Yeah, so I met him in high school. I met him like 9th grade year. And he was just like, he worked at Kmart. No, he didn't. Sorry, he didn't work at fucking Pizza Mill. He worked at Kmart with my sister.
Yeah.
That's or not Pizza Mill. Sorry, Pizza Patio.
Pizza Patio, yeah.
Pizza Mill was you, right?
Yeah. Me. Oh yeah. I spent a lot of time at the mill.
The mill, dude.
I love the mill.
Yeah, that's funny, dude.
The mill is like tattooed on my fucking heart, man. I love that place.
I haven't been there
so
in a minute
sincerely
either,
love that place.
Every time my sister comes into town, she's like, let's go to fucking Pizza Mill. I'm like, all right, let's go.
She used to come in there a lot. We need to go hit up the arcade over there together one of these times. That shit's fun as hell.
I've seen that, dude. It looks dope.
Man.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, dude, I worked there. I had the dreads and everything.
Yeah.
Speaking of dreads, though, that was like some of my notes. I was like, what am I going to talk to Jason about? Because some of these episodes, they just go on these, like, tangents, which is the whole point.
Yeah.
But it's still nice to have some bullet points. But I was going to ask you about your dreads, like...
Oh, why I cut them?
How the fuck... Like, did you ever consciously decide to have dreads, or did your hair just turn into dreads?
I just got fucking lazy, bro. I just got tired of maintaining shit.
Because I consciously made dreads. I had, like, real long hair. Like, long, blonde-ass hair. Like, long. Like, down past my nipples. Like, I have some pictures, and you're like, I forgot how fucking long my hair was.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I want to do dreads, you know, and at least before I cut my hair, I was like, I got to try the dreads. Because if you cut your hair off, you can't do it, you know. It takes forever to grow a hair like that long. So I was like, fuck it, I'll put the dreads in. But
well, what happened was I just got, well, and honestly, that was like part of my, I don't know, I guess you can call it part of my depressive episode after Paul had passed away. Really, after Paul had passed away, I grew my hair out because, you know, his hair was all shoulder length and
Paul
shit.
Paul had the sickest hair. His hair was the coolest hair I've ever fucking seen in my life.
It's like fucking curly and beautiful, dude. And
God damn.
I was like, as a tribute to Paul, I'm not gonna fucking cut my hair. You know what I mean? I never told anybody that. It was just like in my mind. I was like, bro, I'm just not gonna cut it because I don't know. It's just I feel like that's just a respectful thing to do, like in loving memory.
Sure.
But without blasting it in people's faces.
No one needs to know. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, I don't know. Like people could see how much I cared without me having to tell people how much I cared. That kind of thing.
Exactly.
So I just decided, I was like, I'm just gonna fucking do it. And then the summer after, so my hair started growing out, and then I didn't know what to do with it once it got like long, but it's curly already to fucking begin with. And so if you have straight hair, they say that you should get cornrows first, and then so you can kind of train it. But my hair is curly, so it's already fucking gonna knot anyway.
Yeah.
So I started growing that shit after Paul died, and then the summer after my dad died, the summer of 2010, I met this dude Ben, and he was like, bro, you should dread your hair. I was like, oh, I never thought about that. All right, cool. And then I was like, how do I do it without going to a fucking specialist? He's like, just wash it with bar soap. So for some reason that does it, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I get like the Irish Spring or whatever. You know?
Just some over-the-counter bar soap.
Yeah, good old shout out Irish Spring. And I would just scrub my hair with bar soap, and then all of a sudden it started matting together, and then I would just separate it. I'd just rip it to the scalp, dude, and just separate it. And I had dreads for the longest time, and I didn't mind them until I started training MMA. And then it was a pain in the ass because, like, yeah, you're sparring people and shit like that, and then, you know, I had my dreads pulled back, but then one would, like, slip down and, like, catch me in the fucking eye, and then you have to worry about that. At the same time, you're fucking getting just decked, you know?
Yeah.
And it's
not functional for that kind of lifestyle.
No, not for that sport, dude.
Not really.
It's not fun.
You're more vulnerable. Like, your hair is like a thing that's like inhibits you a little bit.
Oh yeah.
It slows you down, or like you said, it's like a disadvantage almost. Like, oh, he's got that hair, it's in his way all the time and shit. You know.
Well, see, it's funny because I actually rage cut my hair the other day. I don't know. If you ever get pissed off at something and then it just blocks all rational thought that you've had.
Absolutely, dude.
And like,
I think everyone can connect with that, where it's just like,
yeah,
like you're just fucking
you're just mad and you just do it. And I would be going to training, and I would be grappling because, you know, it's mixed martial arts, and so jiu-jitsu is a big part of it. And I have this jiu-jitsu tournament coming up on the 11th of September, and so I've been training for that, like, pretty hard. And I'd be going against these guys and stuff, and they would get in like a, you know, dominant position, and they would thrust their hips like into my diaphragm, and at the same time like move my body up, so like my hair would fucking get caught, you know?
Yeah.
And dude, it was just a pain in the ass.
Even if it was tied back, obviously.
Well, it was too short to tie back at this point.
At that point, yeah.
And so it was just like...
Oh, this is way after you cut the dreads.
Yeah.
This is just recently you rage cut your hair
yeah,
again.
because my hair grows fast, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so
sure.
I cut the dreads. I actually just got the Facebook memory. That was like I cut the dreads got cut like the 1st of September fucking last year or some shit.
Dude, and for those who don't know, like, you know, dreads are like a part of you. Like, because you can cut your hair off, but like you can grow your hair back theoretically, right?
Yeah.
But like your dreads form in such a unique way that they're never the same again. So it's like there's this extra layer of like this dread thing. Like, anyone who has dreads knows it's like, oh, it's like this extra special type of hair that's like really a part of you, you know?
It is, and like, I don't know. I was keeping the locks for a while, and then I was just like, you know what? Fuck it, dude. What am I gonna do with this shit? I tossed it.
Especially training MMA and all that.
Yeah.
Like, for me, like, I had long hair for 7 years or something like that, and then I had dreads for like 3-4 years, and you just get like you're the guy with dreads.
Yeah.
And I didn't necessarily struggle with that. I embraced it. Like, in fact, a lot of old people, like a lot of old men and women, would compliment my hair. I thought, instead of the opposite, where you'd think like an old white guy would be like, yeah, this fucking is this kid, like, you know, because it's kind of like, oh, white people are supposed to have dreads or whatever. It's kind of like appropriating my culture or some shit.
You're a culture vulture, dude. Yeah.
But I was like, no, like I wasn't doing it for the whole Ja Rasta thing. I mean, I've kind of always identified with that, you know, the Rasta, and that philosophy, and, you know, I don't know, I've always identified with that anyway, just in general, and a lot of my favorite bands. Sometimes the singer would have dreads, like Brian Fair from Shadows Fall, and Anders from In Flames, and now that dude from Randy from Lamb of God, he has dreads, and like, I don't know, like there's always been cool people with dreads, and it was a fun hair experience, but eventually I was like, oh, I'm the guy with dreads, huh? Like, what happens if I'm just not the guy with dreads anymore?
Yeah.
And I just cut my hair off. But I swear, dude, like, as soon as I cut my hair, like 3 people tried to fight me out of nowhere.
I think I saw something about that. Did you post something about that, like on Facebook
I
or
did.
some shit?
I did, because, like, when you're the guy with dreads, everyone's like, Ja Rasta, like, he's cool, like, you know,
Yeah.
one love, Claire, like, you're just cool, you got this elevated look to you. But as soon as I cut my hair, like, I just looked like a fucking cocksucker, and, like, you're just like, oh, this guy, you know, like,
Damn, that's funny.
I don't know, like, I'd be looking out my car window, like, trying to, like, read the street sign or something, you know, like, looking around. But the car next to me, like, these people in the car next to me would be like, what's up, motherfucker?
Yeah,
like, looking at me, and I'm like, dude, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking, like, past your car down the street.
Bro.
But they thought I was mad dogging them or something. But, like, if I had the dreads still, they would have been like, Ja Rasta! But, like, since I didn't have dreads anymore, I'm still the same guy, but now I have, like, this short haircut, and they're just like, yo, motherfucker, what are you looking at? And I'm just like, dude, I'm not looking at you.
It's kind of funny too, because I've run into the same problem. Not necessarily like because of the lack of dreads or whatever, but just going into the people think that you're looking at them, and like I'm like, bro, I'm looking at the plant behind you. You know what I mean? Or like these girls that think I'm checking them out. I'm like, get off your high horse. I'm looking at the fucking plant behind you. You
Bitch,
know?
don't bother yourself. I was checking out them trees. No.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Yeah.
You're not. Hey, yo, center of the universe. I wasn't actually talking or looking at you, but just in case you were wondering.
It's just funny, dude. But yeah, I just, I don't know. I got out of the shower the other day, and I was just all like, you know what? Fuck this hair. And there's a big fucking no when it comes to this shit, but I put my hair in a fucking ponytail and I just scissored it, and it was all uneven and fucking stupid looking, and I was like, fuck. And then
when your rationale comes back, you're like, oh man, I fucked my hair up.
Yeah, I was like, in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And then I went to train at my dojo that day, and then like people know, did you get a haircut? Did you get a haircut? Hanging my head in shame. Yeah, I fucking cut my own hair, you know. And then it was funny because the next day, or that same night, I looked in the mirror and I was just like, man, I shouldn't have fucking done that. So I had these clippers and I was like, I'm just gonna try and fix it. And I tried to fix it and fucked it up more. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna comb it. I was like, maybe no one will notice. And it's funny because I combed it, and then I went to train the next day. And like all my training partners, damn bro, that looks good. You got a fucking haircut. I'm like, I combed it. You know what I mean? Like if you saw when it was fucked up, you'd be like, damn, did you cut your own fucking hair? You know, like what the fuck? Yeah, but I don't know. It was just like the whole sport of MMA is just it's a pain in the fucking ass to do with long hair, dude. And like it is, you know.
It is
because you're worried about so much other shit that you shouldn't really, like, hair shouldn't be your main fucking concern.
No.
You know.
And for those who don't know, so you've been training MMA, this is probably, what, 3 years deep?
So I started in October 2019. COVID happened March of 2020, so I'd only been training, like, 6 months or some shit like that, right? And then the gym shut down because of COVID. And then once everywhere was allowed to open back up and all this shit, I get a text from my sensei, and he's all, hey, bro, gym's opening back up. And I was like, I'm fucking there, you know?
On
like,
it.
Let's go. Because I had been doing shit. Because I didn't want to fucking lose what I had learned in the last 6 months, you know what I mean? And, like, so I kept up with my shit at home, you know? And so I was one of the people that was doing shit at home even when the gym was shut down.
Just drills and...
Yeah,
calisthenics and punching the bag and shit like that.
Dude, and I was in a position to where, I know a lot of people got laid off from COVID and shit like that. I was lucky enough to not. I was still teaching, you know, being a teaching assistant and all that stuff. So I was still getting a paycheck, and I was in the position where, you know, the gym was shut down for 6 months, but I hit my sensei up and I was like, dude, the shit that you've taught me is invaluable. That shit could save my fucking life. I know I'm not going to your gym because it's shut down, but I will still pay you the fucking monthly fee, even though I'm not going, just because, you know, I really value the shit that you've taught me.
And to support him while he can't be open.
Yeah, you have to.
Because he's non-essential.
Yeah, you have to support your gym. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
just
he's essential to you.
Yeah. It's not like Planet Fitness where you have like 100,000 fucking members, you know, coming in and you
the
know,
Walmart of gyms.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine.
No.
But if you have, you know, these small town MMA gyms and you're just like, bro, like, you know, you've supported me by teaching me all this shit. I'm gonna support you financially or however I can, and he wouldn't let me, and so that shows a lot about his character too. You know what I mean? That he was just like, dude, no,
you can't take your money.
Like,
dude.
yeah,
not
like,
till I'm open again.
And I was like, well, I mean, I tried, you know, like but I think that was the, you know, that's kind of when he saw that he was just all like, all right, this guy's like, you know,
he cares.
You know, he's a decent dude or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then again, you know, like I went there every single day or whatever, but I was one of the people that kept my shit up. You know, I have like a double end bag at my house, and I have like a freestanding heavy bag, and even if you don't have equipment, you can still do shit. You know, I have bricks in my backyard. I was fucking doing lunges with bricks and shit, you know, like...
Yeah, you're always doing some cool shit on Instagram and stuff. I'll see you out there getting it, and I'm like, fuck yeah, he's getting it.
So it's just, you know, it's just one of those things, like, so he hit me back up, and he's like, yeah, dude, like, we're opening back up. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm there. So I went back, like, the first day they had opened up and all this shit, and then, so in October of this year, it would be 3 years if you don't count, like, the 6 months that, you know, it was shut down.
You were technically not at the gym.
2 years, actually.
But you were still putting in some work. Oh, so 2 years.
Yeah. But it's also different because, like, you can do all this shit by yourself, you know what I mean? But you can't really get the full spectrum of things unless you have someone to spar with
and train with, someone who's yelling at you like, dig deep. Like,
dude. Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. It was just, but the whole, like, aesthetic of it, like, I don't know. It's just, like, it's a really cool sport. And like we were talking about before, there's, like, all that camaraderie. You know, there's that brotherhood when it comes to, like, training. And it's just, like, a really good, it boosted my fucking confidence, dude. Like, it boosted my kid's confidence, too. My kid's been training the same time. He's training since he was 3 years old.
Man, yeah, he's not going to know a life without training.
Exactly.
Yeah,
dude.
when he's older, I mean, you can't really think back to prior being 3. Like,
yeah. And, you know what I mean? And so he's going to be, like, a little badass, but, like, you know, I don't know. It's just, like, it's good shit, and, you know, it boosted his confidence, too. He never used to be able to talk to anybody, even, like, my mom or, like, my grandma or anything like that. Like, he never talked to anybody. But then, like, now he talks a lot. And that could be, you know, due to age, too, or whatever. Like, he's still shy sometimes, but it could be just because he's older. But at the same time, I think the martial arts boosted his confidence because you got to realize that once you get punched in the fucking face, talking to people really isn't that big of a deal.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
That's very well said.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's just like, it's
I think everyone needs that. My brother was talking about that. Like he has a kid too, a young kid, and like he's like, you know, he bumped his head or whatever, but he's like in a way, he's like, as a dad, I'm like, you know, my son just bumped his head, like, but he's like, in a way, he's like, I think it's good, like, that you got shook up a little bit. Like, like kids are supposed to get shooken up a little bit. Like, it toughens them up. And,
dude, see,
you know, I mean, obviously to an extent, you know.
Yeah.
Like, nothing crazy, but it's good to be shaken up a little bit.
Yeah. So that's the thing, like,
get punched in the face every now and then. It's good for your health.
It wakes you up, dude. And like, I don't know, shit. It's good.
Some people out there could really use a punch in the face.
Yeah. I don't know if you watch a lot of stand-up comedy, but like, Bill Burr is like one of my favorite fucking people of all time.
Fucking love stand-up comedy, dude.
Dude,
Bill Burr is good.
You know Bill Burr?
I need to refresh my memory and watch his stuff again.
Yeah.
But, he's great.
He's just like, I don't know. He just doesn't give a shit, dude. He just talks about everything that like makes people uncomfortable, and it's just funny because he's just like, yeah, you know, like it's good to get blasted in the fucking face once in a while, you know, it wakes you up, you know, you're just like, oh shit, and then you start contemplating like, man, maybe I shouldn't have said that shit if I just got someone just blasted me in the fucking face. Like, I don't know, it's funny, but it's but yeah, so I've been doing,
and even not necessarily in a violent or angry way, but in a productive, like even in an MMA, like sparring, neutral, like, like we care about each other. We're gonna spar And, it might get a little crazy, but at the end, we're friends.
And then you can conquer that fight or flight response. Because, like, in the beginning, it took a while for me to get my movement down and all this shit. And, like, in the beginning, like, bro, I was fucking terrified to get punched. You know what I mean? Like, I was fucking turning away and, like, doing all this shit. And I was just, it just wasn't good. And then you have to, like, face that fear. And it ends up being, like, it's good because you can conquer that shit, and then once you take some hits, you're just like, okay, that sucked, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought. And like I said, you get more hurt doing fucking jujitsu than you do in sparring. And I've never competed, so I mean, I can't say that from a competition standpoint, but I can say that from a training standpoint, because your body's getting fucking... I've been doing a lot of yoga lately to fucking prevent that, because, like, your body's getting twisted in all kinds of fucked up ways.
It's
dude.
a leverage game, and
yeah,
manipulating your weight against somebody else's weight and vice versa and all that kind of shit.
And it's just crazy because there's, like, you wouldn't think that there's, like, a lot of shit that you could do, but it's just like, dude, you can manipulate someone's body in, like, so many different fucking ways. Like, no, if it's like a stand-up game and you're, like, boxing or kickboxing, there's really only, like, 8 angles that you can fucking attack somebody from. But in jiu-jitsu, there's, like,
it's spherical
fucking million different angles.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just, it's cool that you can do that and you can manipulate people's bodies, and, like, you have these rough motherfuckers that just come in and they try to muscle you around. But the reason I like it, and the reason I'm really doing the jiu-jitsu instead of boxing or kickboxing or anything when it comes to the competition, is because, like, it's a fucking... Well, I mean, boxing and kickboxing within their own rights is an art form as well. But if you've ever seen, like, these videos, like on YouTube, where it's, like, these jiu-jitsu compilations or whatever, the viral jiu-jitsu, compilations, like, these people, these fucking elite athletes, they make it like a flow. It's like it's an art form. Like, it's it's like a violent dance.
There's a rhythm to it.
Yeah, it's like that Bruce Lee shit where he's like, "Be like water, my friend."
It's real.
It's exactly the same shit. It's a flow, dude. And, like, and it's fucking cool. It's just, like, a really cool thing. And then, they teach that shit to kids, because whenever my kid does the MMA stuff, it's more jiu-jitsu heavy, because if he were to get in a fight in school, it doesn't matter if he got attacked first. If he punches back, he's going to get in fucking trouble.
And the kids get in trouble now. Like, probation, get dragged out of school in handcuffs and all kinds of shit.
That kind of crazy shit. But with jiu-jitsu, as long as you're not slamming motherfuckers on the ground, you can like,
sustain the
them
situation.
There. Yeah, you can de-escalate it, and you can just hold them there, and then maybe you're cranking a submission or some shit, but you're just like, you negotiate, and you're just like, dude, are you going to fucking leave me alone? And they're like, no. You crank it a little harder,
Yeah. It's got more of a professional ethic to it.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. It's good shit, and dude, and it's changed my life for sure, because I realize, like, I'm a lot less angry.
Good.
I'm a lot less angry now. Like, I,
Do you think that's due to... like the physical exertion, or also something specific to the sport, or maybe a little bit of both? What do you think it is?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Because I know, like, in general, if you're angry and you go out and exercise, any kind of exercise, generally you kind of get some of those, like, whatever, dopamine and all that kind of shit going, and you feel better just from physical activity.
Well, and I think the difference too between, like, this and, like, weightlifting and things like that is that you can really, like, with weightlifting, you are probably releasing a lot of that stress and things like that, and I'm not shitting on weightlifting at all, but with the MMA, you can just go and you can just, you have like a heavy bag or some shit, and then you just fucking crack it, or you just crack it with a kick, and you just, like, you envision whoever it is that you're fucking angry at, or whatever it is that you're angry at on that bag.
Personifying it. And
but you can take your aggression out. You can take it in a different type of way than if you're just, like, weightlifting or running on a treadmill or whatever. Like, it's still...
You can attack it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, more literally attack it.
Yeah, and there's the physical exertion portion of it too, but then also a lot of it comes to, like, breathing. Like, fucking breathing, dude. And they'll teach this shit to kids. My fucking kid has come to me and he's like, whenever you get mad, just fucking... and you won't be fucking mad anymore. I'm
wow.
just like,
yeah.
I'm like, that's good advice.
How many kids? Yeah, that's profound. You know, for a kid to say that to you.
Bro, and so like you know, it's cool, like and like I said, like I've taught myself how to breathe. Like a lot of people, like we were talking before, think that they know how to breathe a lot, just like the same people think that they know how to punch. And you know, naively I was the same kind of way. So
because you think you do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and you don't have any reason
until it gets under the microscope.
Yeah,
and you're like, well, do I really know how to punch?
And you don't have any reason to think otherwise, really.
Yeah,
so,
you don't.
You know, it's you know, it is naive, but not like in a negative kind of way. It's just like, oh shit, I didn't realize that kind of shit. You know, maybe it's a little bit.
This is a total lack of reference.
Yeah.
Of what it really means to know how to breathe.
Yeah.
So you've learned how to breathe in like more of a.
Oh yeah, dude.
An
like,
in-depth way.
Well, and I do these breathing exercises, which help a lot too, and they help with my lung capacity, but they also help just calm me the fuck down. And you know, so you'll breathe in through your nose for like 7 seconds, right? And then hold it for 4 seconds, and then exhale for 8 seconds. And I do that shit 10 minutes every day before I go to the fucking train. Except for Saturday or Fridays and Sundays, I don't train, but I still do that breathing exercise. And it just like, I don't know, dude. It's just and if you think about it too, like when you get angry, like you're not fucking breathing. You know, you're just so fucking pissed off at this, and you're just fucking like, but you're not breathing. And then it's for some reason, as soon as you fucking breathe, you're just not angry anymore. It's a really fucking weird thing, but it's super cool that it's that. I don't know. I don't want to say it's that easy to control your anger because people have different levels of anger, and maybe it's not that easy for some people.
It comes from different places and all that, yeah.
Yeah, and like just like losing weight, like
it's different for everybody.
It was easy for me, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy for everyone else because I already had a fast metabolism, and then I just boosted it. You know, because I have friends that are dietitians and shit, and they help me, and they're like, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know, the shit. Like I cut, like I was telling you, but for the listeners, I cut 15 pounds. So I started training, I was 145 pounds, right? I gained 20 pounds of fucking muscle. I was 165.
Damn.
And then I cut 15 pounds for this fucking fight. For this jiu-jitsu tournament I got coming up. And
here in like what, 2 weeks or less? Like a week and a half.
Like 10. Today's the 1st of September.
Yeah.
So 10 days.
10 days.
10 days. I've already hit my target weight. That's why I can drink this beer.
Nice.
I weighed myself this morning. I was like 148.6 or some shit, and I need to be 149.9. But 15 pounds. I mean, that's
a lot to lose when you're already. You know, pretty lean.
Yeah, and like I hit up one of my dietetics friends, my nutrition homies, and I was like, so basically I'm trying to lose this 15 pounds, so I just basically need to eat a bunch of chicken and brown rice, right, with like no toppings. She was like, that is that's the common misconception, but no, you can eat all kinds of fucking shit, dude. You know, it's just like you eat every 4 hours. You just don't eat big meals, you eat small meals, and then you make sure to eat something every 4 hours, whether it's a fucking banana or apple, it doesn't matter, and then it just skyrockets your metabolism, and it's easier to lose weight that way.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and I lost 15 pounds in like, well, originally I was supposed to do this tournament in Odessa, but then my sensei wanted to go to a bigger tournament, so we were going to do one in Scottsdale, Arizona, but that was like 3 days after college started, so like literally like nobody could like make it. So he called me and he was like, how do you feel about moving it to the El Paso tournament in September? I was like, no, that's fine, dude. And then more people are able to make it, cheer me on and all that shit or whatever, right?
Dope.
So, and then one of my homies, like I was telling you, he just did his boxing debut in August 28th, so this last Saturday. And so, you know, instead of having to get 2 people prepared for something, he was really trying to target like just getting 1 person prepared.
Sure.
You know, and kind of focus on that. And now it's my turn. So now he's focusing on me. I just fucking and part of the breathing too, like I have a really good gas tank now, and so I I fucking grappled. Yesterday I went to training, and I grappled 2 dudes in and out for 30 fucking minutes straight. Just went. No fucking water breaks, no sitting down, just let's fucking go and go and go. And then there was another time I went against 7 people. Not at the same time, but, you know, one after the other, and there were 7-minute rounds each.
You guys do that for birthdays, right?
Well, this was just to get me in shape. They just, like, Shark Tanked me, and so I went 50 minutes with all these fucking people, and it was brutal, dude. Like, I didn't get tired. I was proud because I didn't get tired until the very last guy. And I'm like, damn, okay, so I can go fucking straight, dude. Like, I have a really good cardio. But,
Nice.
Though for the birthdays, we do the Shark Tank where we literally just get in a circle, and then there's the birthday person in the middle, and then it's just one person comes in at a time for a specific amount of time. For the people that haven't been training that long, or they're not used to sparring and stuff like that, they only go like a minute, you know, per person. But with someone like me or some of the people that have been training longer, you know, we go like 2 minutes, 3 minutes with people
Per person.
Yeah, and so I went 17 and a half minutes for my birthday, no breaks, you know, no water, nothing. And then normally we're sparring at like 10 or 20% power. But on birthdays, we crank that shit up to like 60, 70%, you know.
Level it up.
So you're getting cracked, dude, and like, but it's cool, you know, like it's again, it goes back to that camaraderie thing where it's just like you can get cracked and almost fucking just, you know, wobbled and shit, and then at the same time afterwards you give each other a hug and you're like, fuck yeah, dude, that was some good shit. You hit me with some good shit, you know, like, I don't know, it's a cool sport, and it's definitely, like I said, it's changed my fucking life, dude. Like, I quit fucking flipping people off when I drive now, and I think that a lot of that's due to the MMA, because I'm like, well, maybe it's not worth getting fucking shot over, you know, driving.
It's not. And, you realize it's like one of those 4 agreements. If you heard about the 4 agreements, it's like a book. Like, one of them's don't take things personal or whatever. And a lot of times it's just really not about you. Like, it's someone's driving dumb, and who knows their story and where they're coming from and why they're driving like a fucking idiot. And it's like, it's not like, most of the time it's not intentional, you know.
Yeah.
But like doing these kind of things, like you're talking about, like training MMA and building this, it's callousing your mind, to put it in the word of David Goggins. But you're building a callus on your mind, and you're just like, the shit that life throws at you just doesn't affect you as much anymore, because you're just like, dude, I'm way more headstrong than I used to be. Some shit used to fucking send me spinning off on one, but now I'm like, that shit doesn't own emotional real estate in my head. It's not worth it. Like, I've done other things that were challenged my mind to the point of, like, you know, the breaking point, like what hardcore training or just battling with yourself in some sort of personal endeavor, whatever it is, and you get to this point where you're like, dude, whatever you guys throw at me isn't like what I go through with myself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and then, like, you know, when it comes to the whole, again, I've never been in an MMA competition or anything, so I don't know what it's really like to get fucking cracked.
100%.
With 100% power.
Where someone's like, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, I'm going to win. And when both people are like, I'm going to win, and they're fucking going at each, that's intense. Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
But at the same time, like, you're still getting punched in the face in training, and, you know, getting kicked in the fucking head and the ribs and shit like that. So a lot of it is mental, like 90% of it, maybe even more, is mental. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you have to have a bulletproof mind to be able to do shit like that. And like, the good thing about like me is that like I do have a bulletproof. If I set my sights on something, I fucking go for it, dude. And like, I'm fucking laser focused when it comes to shit like that. Like, when I go to train, I focus on fucking training. I give 150 fucking %, like, every time.
In the moment.
And I'm there, and I'm just like, I'm not coming to dick around. I'm not, you know, I could go to Planet Fitness and pay $10 a fucking month to go bullshit.
Sure.
But I'm not. I'm coming to this gym to learn shit, you know what I mean? And like
to be like pushed to the limit.
Yeah, and that's why I don't mind getting criticized and shit like that. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of that comes from art class, taking art class. I was thinking about it the other day because a lot of people complain, you know, because they have to take art classes and all this shit that doesn't
necessarily apply to their degree plan or to their real life.
But in my opinion, I think, and you know, it's my opinion, so it could be wrong, but I think that everybody should take a fucking art class because it teaches you to take criticism.
At the very least.
You know? So you can pick that up from it, but if you don't learn from your mistakes, then they're mistakes, right? And if you do learn from them, then they're lessons. That's kind of like how I like to break it down.
Absolutely.
You know, so I'm like, it's okay to make a fucking mistake, you know what I mean? Like, but if you got to learn from that shit, and you got to be like, I'm not going to fucking do that again, you know? So it's just one of those things. But, yeah, I don't know. So I try not to be that guy anymore. I try to be the guy that just comes in like, hey, you know, like everyone
light it up, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
If you can. I mean, you don't have to be on fire all the time and be Mr. Happy Joy constantly, you know, because sometimes those people can be annoying too, where they're like just so over the top, like enthused.
If it's genuine.
If it's genuine.
If
it's not forced.
Yeah, if it's forced, then it's like fucking.
People can read right through that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this dude.
This dude ain't even fucking happy, you know? Yeah. No, it's I don't know, but you know, again, like the whole MMA thing, like just it's corrected a lot of my faults. I guess I'll put it that way.
Perfect.
You know, so I couldn't be fucking happier, dude. Honestly,
it's like a filter. Like now you have like this filter that you run your process of thinking and interacting with the world through this lens of like your training.
Yeah.
Maybe not even consciously. I mean, partially consciously, but it's like even it's ingrained now, where it's like it's a part of you, and you're like, no, I have this like filter that I put myself through these like these parameters where like I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you're not just like a loose cannon just firing off emotions in all different directions, just being a fool. Because that makes you vulnerable, especially later when you're like, damn it, what was I thinking? Why was I acting like that? Like,
and it's also like, it's a form of therapy at the same time, and you have to control. So like, for instance, if I'm sparring you or some shit, right? If me and you are sparring each other, you know, we have to control our power. I'm not trying to hit you with 100% fucking power and, you know, potentially like knock you out or injure you, you know what I mean? Same thing for you if you're sparring me or whatever, like you have to control your power, but you also have to control your emotions, because if you don't, that's when you fucking make mistakes. Yep. So if you go in, that's why like, you see all these UFC fighters and shit trying to get in each other's heads. It's a lot of psychological warfare because they're just like, man, I'm fucking pissed, and then the person that gets pissed and uses that fear or like that emotion in the ring or the cage or whatever it is, those are the ones that generally end up losing.
Because you're in your head.
So it's good because it teaches you how to control your body physically, and it teaches you how to control your mind fucking mentally. So it's just an all around
compounding effect.
Yeah,
it affects all kinds of areas of your life. You get better because of your training. You get better sleep. You tend to eat better because you want better fuel for your body, and you're more health conscious in general because you're like, oh, why am I doing all this hardcore training and then I'm just gonna eat like shit? Yeah. And then stay up all night drinking or whatever. So it's like it rubs off on these multiple areas of your life, and it's a compounding effect. And
it's cool too because it forces you to kind of like, I don't know, you know, you can go and like lift weights and stuff like that or whatever, and you have to, unless you have like a weightlifting coach, you have to kind of motivate yourself a lot of the times.
Sure.
But there's not really going to be a huge impact, immediate impact, if you don't practice lifting weights at home and then you go in the gym the next day and you're not able to like lift those weights. But when it comes to like MMA, if you're sparring or something and you're just getting fucking rocked and you're just like, fuck, dude, like I don't want that to happen the next time I have to spar. So you have to work on the shit. You have to tweak the shit that you're not good at and the shit that you keep getting caught with. And it kind of forces you to become better subconsciously. maybe it's just me because I fucking love the sport, dude, and I just like, I have all this, I've invested in shit that's besides the gym. I have all this shit at my house that I train with, so I've invested my time and my energy and my my income to become better, even if I never have to use it. They say there's like this saying in I mean it might be in all martial arts, but in jiu-jitsu for sure, they say we train, like when it comes to the kids, like say we train these kids to use these techniques so they never have to.
It's like a spare tire. It's better to have a spare tire and not need a spare tire than to need a spare tire and you motherfucking don't have one.
Exactly. That's a good analogy, too. Yeah. So.
And, no, I was going to ask you about quotes and stuff, too, like just any good advice or best advice you've received or quotes. But even before that, I was thinking about what you were just saying. And it's like you got to double down on your weaknesses. Because a lot of us, we find something we're good at and we keep doing that because we're good at it.
Yeah.
And sure, you can still grow and get better, but you really grow when you're like, nah, here's my weak points. I got to double down on my weaknesses. Where are the holes?
Yeah.
Where are the holes in my training where I keep getting beat? Like, I don't want that to happen again. Like, I need to fill those holes up. Yeah. And it also kind of ties into that whole science thing where you were finding holes in the in the research, and you had to find your way to fit in to fill the gaps. But that whole like the training is like, where are the holes?
Yeah.
The theoretical holes in my striking or my blocking or my grappling or whatever, and you're building up this wall, and eventually you have a solid shield where you're like, I'm pretty solid, you know.
And that's the cool thing too, is that like it's ever evolving. Like even world fucking champions have holes. You know what I mean? So even they can fucking evolve. Yep. That's why, like, we were talking earlier, and I was like, I've trained with people that are just like, they think they know it all. And it really just it inhibits their ability to fucking learn, dude. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
Like if I was a fucking high school student, I went into your art class, and I don't need to know this shit. I already know this fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like it inhibits your ability to learn.
You're already at a loss.
That's why it's good to get fucking critique, as long as it's constructive criticism. I could be like, yeah, you suck. But
why do you suck?
Exactly. Like, why do
you
you
suck? If you can come up with a legitimate reason of why you suck, then whoever sucks can grow from it.
And how to improve it or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's like, I don't know. The same thing. It's cool that this whole conversation just kind of looped around, because it reiterates the idea that, like, when I was telling you that I first started studying plants, how everything's interconnected. And we literally just fucking prove that now with like all this shit. So, and it's the same with like guitar, dude. Like, I picked up a guitar. When was it? Probably fucking like, I don't know, dude. I just wanted to impress the ladies. That's it. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I wanted to do.
There ain't no shame.
There ain't no shame, dude. Fuck it.
Who doesn't? As a heterosexual male or a lesbian female, who doesn't want to impress the ladies?
I'm saying.
That's just a part of life. Like, we're fucking genetically engineered through evolution to, like, impress the ladies.
Yeah.
Like, the birds with the best songs and shit, like...
Well, yeah. I've had musician friends throughout my entire fucking life, you know what I mean? And, like, I don't know, for some reason... Again, it goes back into the, I don't know, I wanted to be, I never wanted to go through that beginner's hell where you're just like, you're trying to play a chord or some shit.
You're all like, here's a G, and you're all,
fuck it, yeah, dude. Dude, yeah. It sucks.
And then you don't even know what to do with it. You're like, okay, now I know a G, but what the fuck?
Well, and the problem...
Where do I go from here?
Well, and it's funny, too, because the first song I ever learned was just a fucking G chord.
No shit.
And then some fucking scales with, like, the scale within that chord.
Yeah.
So it was Burn One Down by fucking Ben Harper.
Nice.
But I learned the version that Walk Off the Earth did. I don't know if you ever heard of them before, but
I think so.
They're the ones that do that fucking...
Somebody you just used to know?
Yeah, there's like 6 people on that one guitar.
I can't believe I know that, because I usually don't know anything that anyone's talking about. I'm like, No, I haven't heard of that because I'm like totally out of the loop.
Well, it's funny because I saw that video and then I was just like, damn, that's pretty impressive. And then it turns out that like literally all their fucking songs are like that.
Wow.
And I was like, fuck, dude, like these people are like, I mean, they're playing poppy music. Which
I think the name is what stuck with me, like Walk Off the Earth.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a cool fucking name. That's like the hardest thing about being a band is like coming up with a name.
Yeah.
Like a fucking cool name is the hardest part.
Well, and, you know, they do a lot of covers of, like, poppy shit, and, you know, pop music isn't really my favorite. I don't want to say, you know, my perspective is that there's not a bad genre, there's just bad artists. You know what I mean?
Or even bad songs from good artists.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
You know, that's just the way it is.
Shades
like,
and shades and shades of gray.
Yeah, and there's some songs that I know fucking suck, but I still like them, you know? Like
yeah,
that kind of
and
shit.
there's some songs that, like, sonically, like, from whoever engineered it and produced it and recorded it, it sounds like ass, but the song is great. And then there's the other side where they have the top-notch production, the best art, the best producers and audio engineers and all that, but the song is like, who cares?
Well, and then like I listen to a variety of music, but I picked up a fucking guitar and like, you know, I've had all these friends and shit that have been musicians, you know what I mean? Paul was in a fucking band, you know, like
Pioneers of primetime television.
Dude. Shout out Pioneers of primetime TV and like.
And Thomas Thorpe and all those other...
Shout out Thomas, dude. And
I want to have him on here. Thomas, if you're listening, motherfucker, you're going to be on here one of these days.
And it's just, I don't know. Like I said, I wanted to... Because, you know, a lot of times you look up to either prodigies or fucking experts, and it's not necessarily a bad thing if you do it in the correct way. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But, you know, why not look up to the people that are the fucking best?
Why not?
But don't try to be like them the first time you pick up a fucking guitar or whatever. Like,
again, it's like you have to compare yourself to yourself, not to somebody else. Like, you can't measure yourself by somebody else's stick, pretty much.
And I'm sure a lot of people started out this way when they started learning guitar. I started off with tabs.
Right,
you know,
yeah, me too.
Just fucking tabs. And then you know, I was dating this girl for, I don't even know if you could call it dating. It was like a month. But I was like dating this girl, and she's like, you should really learn chords. Because I had, what was it, dude? There was a song. It was, I think it was like Stand By Me or some shit, you know? And she was like, oh, we got the tabs, but you should really learn the chords so you can... Because, you know, the tabs kind of go along with the lyrics, and then the chords are really, like, go along with, like, the actual instrumentals of the song. So...
Basically, the basic root of any song is a chord progression.
Yeah.
And a melody.
Yeah.
And typically, like, even if you break it down to a piano, which in my opinion, I guess, is like, it's the ultimate instrument because you got your chord progression and your melody.
Yeah.
And, like, you can be a full accompaniment. I don't even know if that's a word, accompaniment. But you can accompany yourself with a chord progression and a melody simultaneously. You can do that with a guitar, too.
Yeah.
If you work your way around that, you can... There's different levels of covers. Like, you can play the bare basic notes, like the bass line or something, and then you can play the full chords. And then there's other shit where you can play the chords and the melody, and there's like different levels to it.
And then you got these crazy motherfuckers that are like playing the chords and the melody and drumming on the fucking shit, man. You know? Like,
they're adding percussion to it. God, and motherfuckers singing on top of that. You're like, who are you, dude? Are you from fucking some other planet? Like,
it's cool because I realized that you could play hundreds and hundreds of different songs with just like 4 basic chords.
Absolutely.
You know, and I realized that, and I was just like, dude, I kind of got into this guitar playing shit also to just like learn songs. Like, I just want to know more than just the lyrics. I want to know how to play the fucking, you know, the instrumentals to the songs or whatever. And so I started off with that Burn One Down, and then I went to Stand By Me, and I just kept going and building my repertoire of fucking songs that like I learned how to play. And I'm very fucking OCD, but I use it to my advantage, which is kind of cool because I realize I'm fucking OCD.
Sure.
And I have a fucking Excel spreadsheet that has 275 cells of fucking songs that I just can play. And it's because, you know, there's that website, Ultimate Guitar, .com or whatever, and you can look up the different versions of the songs and shit like that. And then there's like an auto scroll, so you can fucking play and sing at the same time. So that's what I do. And then I just keep adding to that list because I don't want to learn. I don't want to. It forces me to play the songs that I might like forget about, later on or whatever, because I don't restart playing throughout the entire list until I've played everything. And then I have now, because I've learned how to finger pick a little bit, so I was just strumming at first, but then I really fucking like finger picking. Like it's a whole different sound, and it's just super fucking cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so I have these these columns that are just like, all right, song name, fucking song artist,
chord list.
Yeah, did you like the version where the capo has to fucking be? Did you play it? Did you strum it? Did you finger pick it? Fucking side notes and shit like that. So
nice.
I've turned it into a whole thing, and it forces me to learn shit because there's some shit I fucking suck at bar chords. Bar chords are like the
kryptonite.
Dude, they're hard, and just holding the whole shit down, and then also simultaneously like,
because for those who don't know, or even if you do know, but your first finger is basically the capo.
Exactly.
Where you're barring that part of the guitar.
Yeah,
and then it's hard.
It's tricky, and so but there are these songs that I know that I have to play bar chords, and it forces me to actually get in there and play the bar chords. Otherwise, it would be so easy for me to just be like, yeah, fuck that song, because I'm not playing any fucking bar chords, but then I'm not going to progress.
No, it's doubling down on your weakness.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm struggling with the bar chords. Like, so let's fucking play some songs with some bar chords.
Exactly. So, but it's cool, man. Like, it took me a long time to even fucking perform in front of anybody, like even sing in front of anybody or anything like that. But then there's the girl that actually cut my fucking dreads. Me and her were really good homies, and then she ended up moving. Actually, her and my ex were really good homies, and then I kind of met her through my ex because my ex had gone to California for a semester to like for an internship, like she to advance her career or whatever. And I met this other girl through my ex, and me and her became really good friends. And so I'd go to her house and we'd kick it and shit like that. And then I brought the acoustic over one time, and she's all like, yeah, play me a fucking song. And I'm like, all right. So I played her a song. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what it was. But anyway, I played her a song, and then she's like, I'm actually like very fucking impressed with like how you sound and like all this shit. Like, you have a really good voice. I was like, really? Because you know how your voice sounds different to you than it does to other people?
Always.
And you think your voice just sounds like shit.
Sure.
And she told me that, and it was like very sincere, and I was just like, all right, cool, like that's cool. And then me and her started playing together. I asked her, I was like, do you know how to sing? She's like, actually, yeah. And I'm like, all right, cool. So the first duet, I think I put it on the gram and fucking and Facebook. But the first duet I ever had, it was that song "Skinny Love" by Bon Iver, and we played it, and like me and her both like simultaneously sang it or whatever. And it sounded pretty decent. And I'm like, cool, man. Like that was the whole point of me learning this fucking instrument, was just to play it.
Absolutely. There's this great it's the South by Southwest speech by Dave Grohl, and I love Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl's the man.
He's one of my favorite people that I've never met, and you're like, how can he be one of your favorite people? But I'm just like, he's one of my favorite people, and I've never even met the guy, but I just fucking love Dave Grohl. But he's talking about the voice, like how to use your voice. But he's doing a speech, and he's like, who's to tell you that your voice is good or not good? He's like, it's your voice.
It's subjective.
He's like, who do you need to tell you who the voice is good? The Voice? And he's talking about that show called The Voice. Yeah. And he's like, just imagine Jennifer Lopez standing in front of Bob Dylan being like, I think you're a little nasally and sharp or whatever. And you're like, dude, it's Bob Dylan. Like, you like him or don't like him, but I mean, it's his fucking voice. Yeah. And obviously he's somebody.
Dude.
But if you brought him onto one of those stupid shows, they'd be like, you're incorrect. or whatever. And you're like, who the
funny.
fuck's to tell you you're
Yeah.
incorrect? Like, there's obvious, like, if you're out of key and you're just totally bad and you're like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully you're not completely tone deaf, not you, but in someone in general.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully you can tell, like, whether you're in key or not, or kind of, even if you're riding the line, if you're like kind of out of key, but you're almost there, it's like, all right, the only way you're going to get better is by doing it, though, you know?
Dude,
but no, who's to fucking tell you your voice is good enough, you know?
Well, and shout out Bob
It's your
Dylan, too,
voice.
because he was the first lyricist to win the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And then he wasn't even there to accept the award because he's on some Bob Dylan shit. You know?
On some Bob Dylan shit. Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I don't know. It's just fun, dude. Like, again, like, you know, and we were talking about skateboarding earlier, and I told you I fell into this kind of like slump where I was like, man, I'm not fucking getting better at, I'm not learning new shit, and I'm not getting better at old shit. And then I just, you know, I realized that it was 99% of the fun is like, bro, you just like shut the fuck up. You're just like you're not having fun. That's the fucking problem.
That's the problem.
The problem isn't that you're not learning fucking new shit, you know, or advancing on old shit. The problem is you forgot how to fucking just ride the board and have fun.
And that's enough.
And that's why, honestly, like, Daewon Song is my favorite fucking skater of all time. Because he's just so fucking good.
And he's fun.
And he's fun.
The fun factor is through the roof.
And if you ever see him, like...
His Instagram is the shit. It's
Dude,
one of the most entertaining Instagrams.
It's unbelievable
in terms of
shit
skateboarding
this fucking guy does. And it's funny because there's, like... I admire so many different skaters, and there's... Even with skateboarding, there's different subsects of it, you know.
Absolutely.
There's fucking grinders, and then there's tech people, and then there's people that just love jumping off of roofs and shit, like Jaws.
Yeah. Genre after genre of skate nuances, you know.
And so Jaws is one of my favorite, like, hardcore skate, and he has this, I follow him on Instagram, and he has this, shout out Jaws, and he's got this little, he's got this, like, mouth harp Mondays, dude,
Oh,
where
he's
like,
great.
Have you seen that shit?
I haven't seen the Mondays thing, but I've seen him do the mouth harp thing.
Dude, and he's making all these, like, EDM beats with this little fucking mouth. I'm like, oh, this is fucking cool, dude.
He does, like, on Twitch, he streams, he does, like, Tetris and stuff, too, like
I've
OG
seen that.
Tetris.
Yeah.
Like I think regular Nintendo or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that, and
He's the
like,
shit, dude.
But he's cool as fuck. But yeah, in terms of like overall, and it's hard to choose a favorite skater. It's really fucking hard.
It's like picking a favorite song, a favorite color,
yeah,
a favorite food. Like there's so much good stuff.
It's like, this is my favorite thing for that particular reason. Like, people ask me, what's your favorite plant? I'm like, well, I like this. This is my favorite plant for this reason. This is my favorite for this reason, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
So Jaws is probably my favorite jump off of roofs kind of fucking skater.
He wrote the book on jumping off roofs.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude. And then when it comes to just tech shit, it's really like Daewon Song. And then he's real humble about shit, too, which I just like, you know, in terms of his personality. You see him talking to people that aren't as good, you know. Like, there's this one video, I think, on, like, YouTube or something where he was just in this area where there happened to be some other skaters. This kid's trying to, like, kickflip off a 3-set or some shit, right? And you can tell he's kind of trying hard because Daewon Song's there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then, you know, Daewon's just like, bro, just have fucking fun, dude.
Just goes
like,
up there in sessions with him or something. Yeah. Like,
I love that shit, dude.
there's no separation between you and me.
Yeah.
Like Daewon being on a really high level and some kid with a no-name kid from wherever, and they're like, no, dude, we're the same.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, and he even talks about it, too, because he's just so like, dude, if I went into competition, I'd fucking suck because, like, all the pressure, all the people watching me, all this shit. Like, he's good at park shit. He's good at skating in parks, but it's just that, you know, that whole thing. I don't know if it's a real Albert Einstein quote or not, because, you know, the internet's kind of hard to differentiate shit, but
sure.
They say, like, you know, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, then it's gonna grow his whole life believing that it's a fucking idiot. So, you know, again, there's a different, you know, Daewon's super tech about shit, but, you know, for the most part, he's not going to really jump off of shit like Jaws does. Like, I mean,
it's different levels.
Yeah, I mean, he did have that crazy shit where he was doing all those semi-truck gaps and.
Oh yeah,
bro.
and not that he couldn't do it, because
Yeah.
he most certainly is capable of doing it. But his wheelhouse is just in a different range of like
Yeah.
mind-blowing technical like combinations of just magic. He's like a wizard.
Yeah.
He's like a mad scientist, like brewing up like skate tricks. Like
Yeah.
I could do this with that, and it's like just.
Well, and then what got me into skating in the first place was Rodney Mullen, and then because they call him the godfather of skating because he
invented half the tricks.
Yeah.
That we do.
And then they had that. I think almost 3.
Almost round 3, Rodney and Day One.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. They had that Rodney Day One.
I think I have that video over here.
Oh shit, yeah, dude, and like I got introduced to Day One's song from that fucking video.
Almost round 3.
Yeah.
And there's another one. There's like a Day One versus Rodney something or other, but
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
no, dude, these guys are, man, it's the shit.
So I don't know. I don't remember how that tied into what we're.
They're the first two
talking
names,
about.
yeah, Mullen and Song, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haslam too. Haslam's a fucking
dude.
G, dude.
This video is priceless, dude.
Dude, I don't know. I like the techie shit. Like if I I don't know. I don't really jump off of shit. I like the more like techie manny
Me too.
type
I
of
never was a
shit,
jumper, man. Part of that's maybe just, I don't know, fear of eating shit or something. But I just always enjoyed the trickery part.
Yeah.
Like the ledge, techie, manual, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And growing up at Washington, that place lended itself to, there's like multiple tiers of platforms, and I started linking them together. I'm like, you could do this thing onto that thing to that thing and connect all three. And
well, and like we were talking about, Washington was like your original stomping grounds, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Desert Foothills was my original stomping grounds.
Like the ditches and stuff.
The ditches, dude. I love the ditches because it's a good little mixture of street and vert kind of at the same time. You know what I mean? So
that's rough. That's about as rough as it gets, but at the same time, it's about as smooth as it gets.
Yeah.
It's like it's just this paradox.
And there's no. We talked about the Don Rozier ditch in Las Cruces, and it's a cool little ditch and stuff like that, but. To me, and it might just be, I might be biased because it's nostalgia, but to me, there's not really a ditch. I haven't come across a ditch like the Desert Foothills ditch. Like, the Desert Foothills ditch is super fucking dope because it's got that drop in to the fucking flat to the other drop in, so you can really just pump the fuck out of it and then just get, like, mad air. So I like that, I like that a lot.
There's a few spots you can air out to flat, do flip tricks, then there's like that water pump thing. There's like a hole where you can you can do a trick over like slope to the same slope again.
Yeah.
And then even further down where it turns, there's like the spine kind of thing.
Oh, the spine is fucking dope,
dude. And then there's those little drains. You can take the drains out. And like you even just skate like a death gap where there's like a pit, and like the gap's not even that big, but it's just the pit factor that makes it cool. Where you're like, I'm gonna backside flip over this fucking death gap.
I didn't remove the grate, but I did a fakey. I did a fakey big spin to the toes. Fakey big spin to the toes over that grate.
Over the drain thing. Yeah.
And like
that's sick, dude.
I have a video I made in like 2013 or some bullshit, dude. When I was like young, and it was on YouTube until they pulled it off for like copyright because I had like different songs on it or whatever.
Right, and I did that too. I had a lot of videos that had songs I shouldn't have been using.
It's called "Killing Babies with Wisdom," and
sick.
Dude, I told one of my friends that, and she's all, maybe you shouldn't have called it killing babies, and I'm like, but we're killing them with wisdom, bro. You know what I mean? Like we're hitting them with the education and the knowledge. That's how we're killing them. We're not fucking killing the babies.
Yeah.
But anyway, I go back and watch that video sometimes when I just need a little motivation because I'm just all like, I did some decent shit in that video. Like, it wasn't like fucking super hardcore or anything, but I did some cool shit. Like. I did this little fucking thing that I learned. So I learned how to front shove up the bank to the flat, right? And then
at the park?
At the at the
At
ditch.
the ditch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
I learned how to
Drop in one side of the ditch, roll through the flat bottom,
and then
go up the second slope, front shove to flat.
Front shove to flat, yeah. So I learned how to do that, and I was like, and I also learned how to do like a little nose grab, like a little tiny, half a second fucking type of nose grab. And I was like, what if I combine this shit? What if I ollie and I do a nose grab and then I just fucking do like a hand burial or some shit where it's just, I basically front shove with my hand.
Yep.
So I learned how to do that, and it's in that video. And to this day, that's probably one of the coolest tricks I've ever learned. But
that is sick front side too, because Antoine, I always bring up Antoine because he's like my favorite skater, but he used to do a shove it tail grab, but it's like to the toes, but it's the same thing because it's like either shove nose or shove tail, because it's the nose at first, but as soon as you shove it becomes the tail.
Yeah, exactly.
But he used to call it shove it tail grab, but it was to the toes, and he popped that motherfucker real high and shove it around. I've tried sometimes those. He would whip it around, like he would throw it with his hand and it would do a 360 shove.
Oh shit, okay.
So he'd call those like a tail whip, I think.
Yeah.
And then he'd also do shove it Benihanas.
Oh shit.
Where he would like shove it tail grab, but like extra shove it tail grab and like extend it way out and then bring it and just like shove it Benny and stuff.
Damn, that's crazy, dude. Yeah.
Dude, so I know what you're talking about. That shit's tight. Like front side though, like to the back side. That's
and that was easier for me. I've tried the pop shove tail grabs, and like I don't know, for some reason I can't get them. I don't think I suck my legs up enough to be able to get that. But the nose is kind of like right there when I ollie. You know what I mean? So I just fucking whip it around,
back on,
and see if it works. You know what I mean? So I would do that, but I don't know. So like the foothills was really like my original training ground, for skateboarding. I fucking I remember I was skating with fucking Joe, Joe. You remember Joe Baylog, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Joe and his brother, right? And
what's his name? Mikey.
Mikey, yeah. So I was skating with them one time. It was before I fucking knew anything, like at all. You know what I mean? Like. I originally picked up a board when I was like a junior in high school, but it took me like 2 years
just pushing around
or whatever, learn how to ollie, like because I wanted to learn the tricks. Again, I didn't want to go through that beginner's hell. I wanted to learn the tricks before I even knew how to ride the fucking thing, and it's just now I know that that's not the way to go about it. But
some kid was asking me about that today at the school in my art class. One of them, he was like, "Where do you think what tricks do you think I should focus on?" And I'm like, dude, my best advice is if you could cruise down the street, go through the city or the town or wherever you're at, and not have to get off your board. Like you can drop off the curb, cruise past the street, and ollie up the next curb and keep going and never have to get off your board. That's when you're ready to start learning tricks. Like when you can navigate the terrain without having to I got to get off my board to cross the street. Like you're not ready to do kickflips yet, You're not ready. Like you need to learn how to I can cruise through town and never get off my board. Now you're ready to start.
Well, and I remember, so I was skating with Joe and his brother, and they had learned how to drop in and all that shit. And foothills, at the very top, there's the flat, and then there's the bank, and then it just goes into that super fucking downhill.
Just keeps going, yeah.
It just keeps going, like the fucking Energizer Bunny. And they had learned how to fucking, they knew how to drop in. I didn't fucking know how to drop in. I was terrified to fucking drop in.
And the aftermath of what comes after you drop in. You're like, no, I'm just going so fast I can't even jump off this thing.
And then, I don't know, realizing now that, it's not that bad because the way the ditch is, like, a 45-degree angle. So dropping into that ain't shit after you've dropped into, actual...
like fucking transition.
Yeah. Like mini ramps and shit. So that are more like a 90-degree angle kind of deal. But I remember I was they had dropped in from the top and they were just fucking they were just going, and you get a decent amount of speed at fucking foothills. I had started from the bottom of the fucking top.
Yeah.
I didn't even roll in. I just started at the bottom from the top and I just started going. And it was before I knew how to ride the board really. I got the fucking speed wobbles, right?
Sure.
And then it just threw me off the board, and I just fucking slid, dude. And then I go up to them because they were already down to where we were gonna skate, and I went up to them and I was like, dude, I'm all bleeding and shit. A lot of this, like the scar tissue, a lot of it is from fucking foothills, dude. A lot of my scar tissue on my body is from desert foothills, and just trying to conquer the terrain. But
yeah, it's cheese grater concrete. Like
dude, yeah.
It's getting like now it's getting a little bit smoother now that it's older, but like especially when they first make that stuff, it's like really gritty.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
still gritty even now.
And you need like real, kind of thick wheels, to
navigate those rocks and.
Dude, yeah.
The grit.
Especially when the fucking storms come through, they pass through and they push all the rocks and all the debris and shit, and it sucks. Last time I went up there, I had to kick all the rocks and stuff out of the way, but
it is cool though, because you can start way up there, like basically at the top of 10th Street. Like, because if you come on the back side of it, you can drive up 10th Street all the way, and there's like a little playground up there, and you can make a right turn at the playground and go up.
Yeah.
And basically drive up to the back side of where the foothills ditch starts.
Yeah.
And then you can basically bomb the ditch from where you're talking about all the way to like Canyon Road.
Yeah, dude.
In like less than 5 minutes.
It goes a minute, and
like you're traveling a good distance, like fast.
Well, and once you learn how to just conquer the terrain and ride the hills and navigate through the speed wall, when you're first skating, I'm sure you've dealt with this before, but like when you're first skating, you get the speed walls, you freak out, right?
Oh yeah.
But you just gotta pull through. Like you just gotta handle that shit, And so I freaked out or whatever with the speed wobbles, and I fucking lost my balance, and then I got thrown. And I go up to them, I'm all bloody and shit. They're like, what the fuck happened? I was like, dude, I had to say shit, and they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And then we go back to the place where I ate shit. And there's just a fucking a streak of like blood and skin, just like that fucking long on the side of the bank.
It's like it just took a piece of your flesh.
Yeah, I was like, fuck. But then like
it's like the initiation, like the ditch is all like,
dude, yeah.
All right, dude, like you're gonna skate here. Here's the cost.
But that was the original stomping grounds, dude. That's why that's one of my favorite fucking places of all time. And then it's interesting because like a lot of the people that go up there are like, they're just, they say Alamogordo, maybe not just Alamogordo, maybe New Mexico, but I think they say Alamogordo is like one of the nicest places on earth or some shit like that. I've heard that before.
That used to be on the radio.
Oh, okay.
Luis was talking about that, how he's like, he had some friends who like, dude, that place is just so friendly. Like we didn't plan on staying, but they ended up staying because it's so friendly. But there used to be, I think it was Double J, my friend Zach, his dad is a radio DJ for 94 Key, at least he was for a long time. Double J, James White. He'd be cool as fuck to have on here. Oh my God, I gotta add him to the list. James White, you motherfucker. Oh, goddamn Double J. But yeah, he used to, I think he did the radio thing where he was like, Alamogordo, the friendliest place on earth. Yeah. And then like the song would start or whatever. Okay. But that is a thing though.
Okay, because I knew I heard that, but it makes sense when you go up to desert foothills because like everybody you pass is just fucking nice as fuck, dude. Like even like the most gangsta looking motherfuckers, they're
like
just
people in the ditch, like pedestrians.
Well, not even in the ditch. If you're
just off the side, like people walking.
If you're just walking up to the ditch, like people are just hella nice to you, dude. Like, and it's cool. I've had people like just sit there and watch me skate before, and I'm just like, all right. Like, there's this one dude
just posted up.
Yeah, there's one dude who was like a photographer, and he was like, man, can I take some pictures of you? I think it was me and Mikey skating. He was like, yeah, can I take some pictures of you guys? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And so we were skating, and he would be taking pictures, and then there's this other dude that would go up there, and like he had like a fucking bow staff, and he would just go there and do some martial arts shit.
Sick.
And then I would see him at Plateau Espresso, and then he would talk to me, and he'd be like, yeah, me and you are both two dangerous guys, but we're dangerous in different ways, because you're on this fucking little board with fucking wheels just hauling dick down the
through the desert, through the middle of the desert. Like if you really think about it, there's like if you zoom out from like a bird's eye view, it's like just this little strip of concrete in the middle of the desert, like, and you're just fucking like flying through the desert, dude. It's sick.
And people are terrified to do it, and it's just, I don't know. I fucking love it, dude. And like I said, like skating, I got into that little slump where I was just like, I'm not learning new shit. I'm just being all pessimistic. And then I was like, dude, you forgot about just having fun.
The reason.
That's all it is.
The reason why.
It's fucking simple. Just have fun. Like,
yeah,
fuck.
I get in my head about it too, and I'm like, maybe am I losing some of my old tricks that I couldn't do, or will I ever do that again at that level? Or not that I was ever at that real high level of ever to begin with, anyway. At least from my perspective, I'm like, because there's so many times I've held myself back. Like if Pat would let Pat be the skater that Pat really could be, man, maybe he could have been a total badass. But at the end of the day, it's not about a skill level or reaching some pinnacle, or it's just about having fun and not forgetting the reason why. And I think before I was talking about something about how skateboarding like really shaped my life, how it was like one of the most fundamental things that's shaped my life. Mm-hmm. I can't think of any other thing in my life that has really taught me more about myself, about the world, about friends and people, and falling down and getting back up and trying over and over and over, and just I owe my life to skateboarding for what it's done for me, man. And so but it's definitely like not something to get pissed off at.
Yeah.
And if you ever find yourself getting mad at doing something that you love, then it's time to back up for a second and realize, why am I doing this anyway? And it's not necessarily always about progression or getting better, but just about doing what you love to do, and that the act of doing it alone is enough. And
it's good to take a break every once in a while too, and just like recharge the batteries, that kind of shit. You know what I mean? But
sure.
Again, like we've been going at it for a while. So I will leave you with this, this little story, kind of relating back to, shaping yourself and things like that. And again, thanks for the skate session. That shit was dope as fuck.
It was great. Yeah, we need to do it more often, and we will do it more often.
Dude, I'm down. And then, like I said, I'm down here, a couple days a week and shit like that, teaching, getting the grind on and shit like that. No pun intended, but
so we can get some skating in like during the week, maybe like Monday, Wednesday
for sure.
Monday, as of right now, I have band practice and shit Mondays, but Wednesdays are good though.
Yeah,
I was talking with my friend Timmy too about skating on Wednesdays, because he works at the school too. He does like security and stuff. So we might start skating on Wednesdays, man, if you're down.
Yeah, no, I'd be down as fuck. And but yeah, so again, thank you for fucking having me. It's been a dope experience. Just like I was telling you before, me and my homie were thinking about starting our own podcast, the Plant Podcast, or to put it in like punny terms, I guess, the Seed Podcast, because you got seed pods and whatever, dude. All the fucking nerds will laugh at that shit
for sure.
But like again, I'll leave you with this little story, and then we can cut it out because we've been going for a minute. But I don't know if I ever told you, but like, I've climbed mountains. I've climbed fucking Sierra Blanca, which is around 11,000 feet, and I've climbed, I think, 11,900 or 12,100 or some shit like that. I don't remember.
Sick, yeah.
And then I've climbed Wheeler Peak, which is the highest point in New Mexico, in Taos, and over 13,000 feet. So my next venture is going to be a 14,000 footer, probably Pikes Peak in Colorado or some shit like that, right?
Dope. Yeah, hell yeah.
But the reason I do that shit, the reason I fucking climb mountains, and the reason I skate, and the reason I fucking do martial arts and all that other shit, it goes a lot deeper than just, wanting to do it for fun. But a lot of the reason I do that shit too is because, I don't know if I told you or not before, but when I was born with the fucking clubfoot, right? So there was a potential that I wasn't going to be able to fucking walk, like, at all, and I can. So basically, like if you don't know what a clubfoot is, it's like where your foot is formed upside down in the womb, and then when you're birthed, the fucking foot is still upside down, so they had to break it in like multiple places and like shove a pin through the fucking through like the top of my ankle, through like my big toe, to like straighten it out.
Oh shit.
And there's still, dude, I got the fucking x-rays from when I was a newborn from that shit, and then they there's all the scar tissue and the stitching and shit like that on my foot that you could actually see.
Wow.
In real time. And then for the first year of my life, I was in a cast, but then somehow I broke my fucking leg when I was a year old. Oh. So I was in another cast for like 6 months, and so for the first year and a half of my life, I was just in a fucking cast. And so that's why I do all the shit that I do, because for a split second, I was almost not able to, you know what I mean? And so
from the jump.
From the jump, dude, yeah. Like, I almost just wasn't able to do that for a year and a half. And if you ever see me wear fucking shorts, you'll notice that my left leg is a lot fucking thicker and bulkier than my right leg, and it's just because the fucking right leg was the one in the cast, and so, you know, it stops the blood flow and the circulation and shit like that. You know, and for the longest time, dude, when I was younger, when I would walk on like the side of my fucking foot, like my right foot, and my parents and my grandparents and stuff, they'd always be like, "Oh, you need to," like, not being like dicks or anything, but they're like, "You need to train your fucking shit how to walk correctly."
Correctly, yeah.
And so if you ever see me walking with like a little limp or some shit, it's like it's not a pimp walk by any fucking means, you know what I mean? It's just the fact that this fucking leg with the fucked up foot is shorter than my other leg.
Wow, yeah.
So I don't know, it's interesting, but that's kind of shaped me, again, going back to the whole viewing the world optimistically. That's kind of what shaped me into the person I am today, and that's been a lot of the driving force behind why I've done, outside of academics and, you know, shit like that. That's why I do a lot of the shit that I do in terms of like the physical things, in terms of like my physical capacity wasn't going to be as it is now for a long time. You know, my parents were just like, "Dude, I don't even know if this fucking guy's gonna walk."
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, but I can, and I feel like there is a fucking reason for that. So I'm gonna climb a fucking mountain, dude. You know what I mean? I'm gonna walk from fucking 3,000 feet in elevation to 9,000 feet in elevation because I fucking can, and I almost wasn't fucking able to. So
you're just exploiting that opportunity that might not have been there.
Exactly. So again, that just kind of ties into the whole, like, going back to skateboarding and how it shaped you, and like that's what shaped me, and that's why I drive, dude, and like I fucking go for it because I can, and, you know, for a split second I wasn't able to. So that's just a little fucking story I'll leave you with, dude.
No, that's great, man. And it's very inspiring, and anyone that has any limitations of their own. I mean, Luis and I were talking about like Felipe Nunez.
I just watched that video today,
dude.
Watched
talk
that
about
video
limitations
today.
and breaking barriers down. Like, oh my god, he's like beast skateboarder, and he makes it look good, and he does it with no feet,
and it's ridiculous.
And you're like, if that guy's out there doing it, like, what excuse do I have? You know, none.
And he has to jump higher than people with fucking legs because he's like half of the height.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Way further down already.
You gotta imagine what that motherfucker's like triceps look like, though, bro. Like,
dude, and the hands, like the calluses and his hands must be like freaking calloused over, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's cool shit, man. Like, I don't know, but
no, dude, your story is inspiring, man, and there's no way we covered it all. You know,
round
there's just no way. Up. So we're gonna have to do a round 2 for sure.
Yes,
but
sir.
man, maybe we can leave it with this, man. But I've been wanting to ask guests, like, if they have any bucket list items, you know, like, and it's like I was talking about with Ryan, it's a fucking hard question to answer, but if someone asked you, like, if there's something on your bucket list, do you have anything that stands out?
Honestly, like, not anything in specifically, but what I would say is I just want to live before I die, bro. Like, honestly, that's what it is, dude. I just want to live before I fucking die. I don't have any particular things that I want to do that I fucking absolutely need to do. It comes day by day, or like, it's not the years in your life, it's the life in your years kind of thing. Yeah, and like, honestly, if I were to die tomorrow, I would be fucking satisfied with the life that I've lived, and that's all I could fucking ask for.
That's all you can ask for.
So like, I've done my biological fucking duties and reproduced and had a kid. You know what I mean? That kid's turned into be a fucking badass. You know, and I've done a lot of shit that has propelled me to the top of where I want my fucking life to be. And so I've already lived before I've died. And there's a lot more living I gotta fucking do But again, if I were to die tomorrow, I would be satisfied with the life I've lived. So I don't. Again, it's more like a philosophical answer to your question, I guess. But
perfect.
It's there's not. That's the only thing on my bucket list. I have one fucking thing on my bucket list, and that's it, dude.
Live before you die.
Live before you die.
One of my favorite quotes is from Shawshank Redemption, where it's Andy Dufresne, where he's like, I guess you're right. I am stuck in here. I guess I better get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah. And they have those,
man.
like in Las Cruces, they have these things, these little chalkboard things that are just like what I want to do before I die or some shit like that. I haven't written anything on either of those, but I've driven by them. Working for the city, I've driven by like the whole fucking city, and I've seen those, and that was the first thing that came to my mind. Was just like, I would just put live. That's all I would fucking put. And it sums everything up, because you can put everything into that. Like, say you want to climb Mount Everest, or you want to go skydiving, or that all fits into that one fucking word.
It sums it all
live,
up.
That's all life's about, dude, just living. So that's
LIVIN.
That's what I try to do, bro. So
fuck yeah.
Yes, sir.
Dude,
bro.
Thanks for coming, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, bro.
We'll do this again for sure.
Appreciate you.
One and done, son.
Yeah,
Episode 4.
Let's go.
Jason, we out.
Peace.